Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV. We're here to talk about Enzo Fernandez again. Um, is the deal off? Is the deal off? Because since last night, we've had some compelling news that's gone against everything really that we've been told up to this point. And we're going to be here to discuss that, go through, break down, talk about the news in and around Enzo Fernandez, our thoughts and feelings, and try and really understand where we're at with this. Because again, it feels like as a fan base, we've been led again in the wrong direction. Led in the wrong direction by certain journos, and it's worth talking about. So we're going to get into that. Also, we are going to talk about. We are going to be speaking on the game today. We are kicking off. We're playing Man City today as well. So we will be talking about the match preview for Chelsea and City, team lineups, a little bit of head-to-head stuff, and then we're going to open up the lines. We did have Ben Jacobs queued to come in today. He's had a bit of a family issue, so he hasn't been able to make it on the show. He will be with me early next week. We've already had a discussion with him already, so he will be with us early next week to discuss all Chelsea news. But we're going to start with Enzo Fernandez. That's where we were going to start off with. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk about it, and we're also going to talk about, like I said later on in the show, the game tonight and our thoughts and feelings, and then open up the lines. Today's show is going to be based around you guys coming on, having your say, giving us your thoughts and feelings about potentially the Enzo Fernandez situation as well. But before we move forward, guys, do me a favor, hit the likes, subscribe to the channel, leave comments, do whatever you need to do, all of the usual stuff, and let's cue that intro. Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you guys are well. It is match day today, which means Chelsea are playing Manchester City tonight in what is a big game because we need points. But feels across the fan base a game that we could potentially be setting ourselves up for a loss on. We're going to be talking more about that as well. But we're going to start off with the Enzo Fernandez news because of recent, and I'm talking about last night, we received a tweet from Fabrizio Romano. And that tweet, which I'm going to bring up now for you guys, was the tweet confirming this. And it's just come out of the blue. Chelsea's official proposal for Enzo Fernandez was never 120 million euros or 127 million euros. The final proposal made to Benfica was 85. Chelsea have never discussed the 120 million euros release clause. There's no agreement at all after new meeting in the afternoon, as revealed earlier. Now, I feel slightly annoyed and frustrated, but at the same time, as I always tell you guys, and we have spoken on this on the previous summer windows, people that have known me for long enough, it's very hard for us as Chelsea fans to accept what journos close to Chelsea tell us. And the feeling I got from this one wasn't just only from the Chelsea journos, because even Fabrizio Romano himself said that this deal was advanced. He never sort of threw himself fully at it, but he always left it advanced. The only one that wasn't fully thrown at it was David Ormsted, and he confirmed that the deal would not collapse, but he basically said that Chelsea would not be held to ransom on the deal for Enzo Fernandez. Now, Portuguese journos were also confirming that this is pretty much nearly a done deal. The likes of some big Portuguese journos in the name of Cesar Luis Merlo, who has been pretty much talking a lot about Enzo Fernandez being a Chelsea player. It's a matter of time. Chelsea are willing to pay more than the release clause, etc., etc., etc. Now, since all of this, and obviously what's happened last night with Fabrizio Romano's comments, not only was I frustrated, I saw that the timeline was frustrated, and I get it. As Chelsea fans, we seem to always be led up the wrong path. We get told one thing, and then it completely pulls out, and it ends up being the opposite. Now, does it mean Enzo Fernandez to Chelsea is completely finished? No. However, and we're going to break down some of the stuff because I've got some of the tweets. There are some compelling tweets as to why Rui Costa and Benfica have kind of changed their view or their decisions in how they feel about the idea of doing a deal with Chelsea. Some of it may be our own fault, and I'm talking about Vivel, I'm talking about Bowley, and we're going to look into some of the comments. But it just goes to show one real big thing, doesn't it? That most people in and around the journo area don't really know much. You know, I know people were talking about Felix, and I saw him getting a lot of heat last night. Felix is not a journalist, guys. Felix is not someone that you should be looking at and trusting his information. The guy took a punt. You know, he knows, and I know this of him. He knows of certain individuals at Chelsea through what he does do, which is the loanee stuff, mainly of Chelsea. When he speaks about Chelsea, he took a punt on it. He went out. He committed to it, and ultimately he's getting burnt for it. But at the end of the day, you know, for us to trust of the full word of him is not something that we should have done. And you know, we always say, look, Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano are the two that they're the main two that we should be really focused on. You know, when it comes to finding information, Fabrizio Romano in himself never said done deal, but he always said that this deal was pretty advanced, and it kind of led us into believing that Chelsea were going to get this done. And you know, the whole thing of, well, the release clauses isn't a thing because Chelsea are going to pay more than the release clause, but they want to do it over an instalment plan. And then we find out last night, before this was broken from Fabrizio Romano, that part of the issue and why it's taking a little bit longer as it should is the structure, is the instalment plan between Chelsea and Benfica. Benfica proposing to Chelsea that they want a large amount or some amount of money paid in the first instalment, which Chelsea are obviously reluctant in doing, whether that's 60 million, 70 million in one whack and then a split of 20-20 or whatever. We won't know. However, what I will say is this. Does it mean that it's completely over? I don't think anyone or any of these journalists have committed to saying that this is completely over. Not over on January the 5th, guys. It's not. Let's not be serious. Chelsea could always go in and renegotiate with Benfica, even though we've seen some reports saying that it may not happen, or Benfica are not willing to. Look, at the end of the day, the way I see it, and we're going to go through the bits in a second, is that Benfica wanted to keep Enzo Fernandez in the first place. That was always the case, right? I don't think they felt that any club was going to pay the figure that they'd put out for Enzo Fernandez. Chelsea have shown the interest, which is then deemed Rui Costa, Vivell, Bowley to have this discussion. What Benfica have done that is very clever is that they've kind of pushed the fact that they want that big payment. They want that big lump sum of money up front. And they know it deep down in themselves that many football clubs, including Chelsea, with the money, are not probably going to want to do that. So in a way, it's a scare tactic to push Chelsea away from signing Enzo Fernandez. Now, Chelsea want Enzo Fernandez, and this is why I say if Chelsea really want Enzo Fernandez, they are going to have to. I think the structure of paying it over a certain period is not an issue. I just think it's down to how much is being paid up front. Because if Chelsea are trying to play 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 40, 40, I don't think they want that. I think they want a large sum of money paid up front and then the split out. Now, it's on us as Chelsea, as Vivell, as Bowley. How much do you want the player? Now, I've not seen a player and the fan base pull to an agreement as much as Enzo Fernandez. I would say 80 to 85% of the fan base across socials, across Twitter, across YouTube, have all agreed that the signing of Enzo Fernandez to Chelsea is a good signing. It's something that we need. It's something that we want, you know. So the pressure's already there from the fan base on the board because of the news that we've been hearing. The issue that I have with this all is that the journos, and this ain't specifically Chelsea's fault, and I'm talking about Todd Bowley and Vivell, is the journos have built up such a compelling story to say that Chelsea are negotiating, that they're going to pay more than release clause, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. You know, Enzo Fernandez is pushing himself out the door. He's not been, he's gone to Argentina. He hasn't turned up for training. He's doing this. So we know Enzo Fernandez, the player himself, wants to leave. He doesn't want to be at Benfica. That's the one big tick to show Chelsea that he wants us to do our bit. So at the end of the day, and we're going to get into more of it now, there's a couple other bits that I've seen prior to this news of Fabrizio Romano. So the truth is, for the last couple of days, when we were being told that we were going to pay more, close to 127 million, the truth is that was not true. The truth is we got led the wrong path. We got led the wrong way. The truth is that from what we've been told, Chelsea may have agreed to pay more than release clause, but then completely lowballed Benfica and offered something less. And that goes on to my next comment, which we're going to get into now. Over 200 of you guys here. Big up to every single one of you guys that are currently in at the moment. So what is it? What is the situation? Why has Rui Costa and Benfica so all of a sudden started to pull the plug slightly? Well, Chelsea told Benfica verbally that they were going to bid a certain amount. But when Chelsea officially bid, it was way lower. Sorry if Fabrizio Romano is correct, but what on earth are Bowling Vivell and others doing? No wonder Rui Costa isn't happy. Now, if Chelsea have verbally agreed with Benfica to pay over the odds on the release clause for the player, and then when they get the lawyers involved and they put the contracts, which is what I think's been happening, put things together to try and get this legitly, signed off and whatever, we issue the complete opposite. What do you think what do you think Benfica and the agent and Rui Costa are going to do by doing that? If that's what Chelsea have actually done, then that is a very stupid thing to do in the first place. And it goes back to another thing of why are we wasting time? Why would we think by lowballing Benfica that this is going to happen, that we're going to be able to get Enzo Fernandez for cheaper, when they've already made it very clear that if you want the player, you pay the release clause. End of. The structure might be different. You pay the release clause and then pay a larger sum of money up front and then split it out over a course of how many years we're going to do it. Yeah, maybe that's true. But to completely lowball them and say, well, no, actually, we believe that we want to pay around 80 to 85 million euros. Don't get me wrong. The market value of Enzo Fernandez at Benfica is currently around 50 million, is what I've read. So they are still making a lot more money on the player than what they got him for anyway, even at 80 million. But there's a release clause. And if there's a release clause, then the club wants you to merit that release clause, then you have to meet it. The only other way that you get around it to a degree is if the player forces himself out the door. And I'm talking about a transfer request, which, again, I'm not too sure if he's going to do, if he wants to do that. We know that he said he wants Chelsea. Fair enough. But at the end of the day, if this is true on what Chelsea have done in terms of just, lowballing Benfica, then this happening and what we've heard from Fabrizio Romano is just a load of bollocks. Why did we do that in the first place? You only then have to question the board and the way that we're moving and the way that we're doing things, if it's true. And I'm not saying it is, because from what we're being told, I don't really know what's true anymore when it comes to Chelsea and journalists and what we're being told. I always tell a lot of you guys to read what you can from it and make from it your own sort of, mindset on it. Rather than just read it and take it as gospel, take pinches and pinches of it all and then make it up in your own mind of what you think's actually going on. Because there is certain things that you do read that are probably true to a degree. Don't get me wrong. But this is a... It's frustrating. And it's frustrating when you want the player. And like I said, 80% of the fan base wanted the player. And it's just really annoying. We're going to get into some more comments in a second. Nearly 300 of you guys here. Big up to every single one of you guys that are currently here at the moment. Please make sure that we're smashing the likes. I am opening up the lines to get your thoughts and opinions today on the show as well. I want you guys to get involved. I want to know your feelings on the Enzo deal. Is it still on? Is it off? What is it that you are currently feeling at the moment on this? Let me know. We're also going to talk a bit later on about the Chelsea Man City, because we are playing tonight as well. On top of all of this, feels like a double whack in the face, doesn't it? We get this last night, and then we've got to take on Man City later, which half the fan base or 3/4 of the fan base feels we're going to lose as well. Big up to Harry. This is We're a Joke Team. Tell me about it. Big up to Chelsea OG. Enzo deal is dead, is what Matty's saying. He feels it's game over. I don't know what to feel. It would be both good and frustrating, is what Harry's saying there. Big up to Devin, Mitchy boy, nice to see you as well. CFC Stephen, let's quickly fly through the chat because I've not been able to do that. I just went straight into it, to be honest, because I was really, really annoyed, guys. Really annoyed. Vivell bottled it, Gem, is what Fraser's saying. That's what he feels. Big up to Steve as well. 120 million is silly, 60 million is more. Look, the one thing that, again, we all agreed on, it doesn't matter how much you love the player or don't, is that the price tag is higher for the player. 100%. I agree. Enzo Fernandez for 120 million is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. I think we can all agree on that. But I just don't get the time wasting. What are we wasting time for? We know we've got problems in this fucking squad, right? We've got injuries. We know we need to sort the midfield out. We're not looking at right back yet. You know, the forward line is doing the same shit as it always does. Doesn't matter who we play up front. You know, like we do need to address things. And when I spoke on yesterday's show and I said to you guys, maybe Chelsea sign Enzo Fernandez now, it is not because it is not because they won't do anything in the summer, but because they want to push for Champions League football. Yeah, their intentions are to just get on with things, improve the squad as quickly as possible, keep us as competitive as we possibly can. Even though one player doesn't solve everything, but it's another piece to the puzzle of what we need to sort out as this football club. You know, that shows their intentions, and I back it. If they want to do that and they want to just spend that money because he is a great talent, raw talent to bring to Chelsea, then I back my football club for doing that because the intentions is to show that they want to just get on with it now. Doesn't matter if it's January. I'm not waiting to summer. We can get a player for 120 mil and we've got the money and we're comfortable in doing it and it works and the structure does. We're going to pay it. We're going to just put the money down. I have no problem with it. You know, but what I don't like is the time wasting. Do not say to Benfica, from what we've been told, that they're going to pay above the release clause, and then when you put things together and you're going to, you know, get the contract ready to be signed off, then lowball them and offer them 80 to 85 million. So then what? Don't get me wrong, we're probably going to renegotiate 5th of January, guys. I don't think it is over, this Enzo Fernandez saga. I think it will go on, but we can't like. We can't be doing that. These are things that they've got to learn. It's not that. If Vivell is in control of this as well, he's got experience. He knows what he's doing. I get Todd Bowley doing this because he's new to the game. If he is very heavily involved, I'd understand it. Because he's, you know, he's still, in many ways, he lacks the understanding. But Vivell doing it, when we just appointed him, yeah. I don't know. I don't get what we were trying to do. We're going to read into more of it in a second. What we've got over 300 people here. Big up to every single one of you guys. Smash them likes, guys. Let's get these likes up. We are going to be opening up the lines as well. John Anderson is a new member of Chelsea Fan TV. Big up to you, my man. Thank you for becoming a member and subscribe it, guys. Please subscribe to both GNA TV, which is my channel. I'm trying to get my channel up to 10K. And I've only been going for a year and a half, just nearly 2 years. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, which is GNA TV, please go over and do that. I'd appreciate that massively. And also on Chelsea Fan TV, because we're on the road to 200K in subscribers as well. So make sure you subscribe there. Big up to PS Lordy. We compared Enzo Fernandez to Tchouameni. I'm glad we didn't pay it out straight away. Listen, there is two sides to the story here. Because if the argument is that we were never offering that release clause, but we wanted to try and offer something, and that offering something's 80 million, and we're not going to do any more than that because we feel that he's too much, then fine, again. But then let's just not waste time. Let's not waste time on it, Chelsea. Let's go and find another midfielder if we can do in the January window. Help them squad. The squad needs it. Give it to Potter. He needs it now. Let's not waste the time that we have. We've got 25 days of this window to get cracking. So let's do it, Chelsea. You go in and settle player, annoy a super agent in Mendes who you've asked to deal for you. That's the other thing. Mendes has been appointed on this to get this done. Chelsea have kind of got Mendes to get involved on this. Annoy a club like Benfica who you will want to work with again in the future. Shop negotiations, that's what we've got there. I'm not going to the games now, but I am going to Palace next weekend, you know. I am going to Palace next weekend. We've got a donation from Zane here. Big up to Zane in the house. You are just spending lots of money like United in the past. London is red. Zane, I think I've seen you before, mate. I think I've seen you on the football terrace a couple of times. Listen, thank you for the donation. I think you're an Arsenal fan as well. I'm right in saying, yeah, you are. Yeah, London is red. You're an Arsenal fan, but you said it there. So, yeah. Big up to you, mate. Thank you for the donation, as always. And try and hold on to that top spot, mate. You need us to win tonight. You need us to win. Andreas says, Jim spot on as always because our midfield is BS. We need him ASAP. Yesterday, none of our midfielders are creative. We're impotent. Yeah, it's a problem. We know it's a problem. As a fan base, we know it's a problem. This guy is so loud on the transfer market. It's not sure why he's trying to prove he's better. He just shut up and sign play and say, here we go. Who are we talking about here? Catman saying it's over. It's over. It's never over. It's never over until it's over. Until the transfer window's over. And the transfer window is not over, guys. Please subscribe to both channels. Right, let's go into the next bit. Let's go into the next bit. Big up to everyone in the chat because we are going to open up the lines as well. Now, weirdly enough, everything I was talking about, I kind of just jumped the gun because I was meant to be going through it bit by bit, but it's so got to me that I just had to because with me, I always try and speak for how I feel down here. You know, I never say things unintentionally. I always say things from how I feel, you know, whether it's right or wrong or whatever. It's just frustrating. What is the fuck was Todd Bowley thinking with Enzo deal? So you agree a deal that Benfica are happy with. Enzo then puts pressure on Benfica to leave. And then Bowley goes back with a new offer completely lowballing him. Well, if it's Bowley, Vivell, from what we've been told, what did he think was going to happen? It's true. And then it goes on to say it was Vivell, etc., etc., etc. We've had this discussion, yeah. And then like I said to you, what annoys me more is the amount of journos like this guy, this Portuguese Cesar Luis Melo, who's been very vocal about Enzo and Chelsea. It's going to happen. Chelsea have agreed over the release clauses and the other. He then even comes out and kind of backs the Fabrizio comments by saying the negotiation for Enzo Fernandez to go to Chelsea collapsed. Benfica gave up selling him outside the clause after several days of negotiation. The Portuguese club has already informed the English that not now only the clause of 100 million is being paid in one payment. So I don't get this. What have we been wasting for the last couple of days? Because the fact that they're saying Benfica gave up selling him outside the clause after several days of negotiation. So they were open to potentially doing a deal outside the release clause, meaning that Chelsea probably were going to pay more than what the release clause was, but over a certain structure. Now, Benfica have probably said, this goes back to what I said earlier in the show, Benfica have probably sat there, and I'm trying to understand it from what I'm reading from what people are saying. Benfica probably sat there and gone, okay, however, we want X amount for the first instalment, X amount for the second instalment, and that's where we've probably got stuck. And Chelsea probably held on it, thought about it, and probably not wanted to do that, or probably counter offered again to what they've asked for. And it seems like we've just gone back and forwards to try and get what we want rather than allowing Benfica to have control of the situation, which is what has probably happened. And it's led up to where we are now, to the point of now probably Benfica saying, look, forget this. We've probably offered them, they've agreed to offer them 80 million rather than 120 million when we told them we would offer them 120 million. Then we put this contract together, and then when they work out the initial payments of the contracts, it probably doesn't even add up nowhere near to the 120 million release clause. Hence this thing of why it was 80 million that Chelsea were looking to offer for the player, and they've probably turned around and gone, why are you wasting our times, and pulled out. Now they've pulled out probably to scaremongrel Chelsea, to ask, to show Chelsea that if you want the player, you need to start, you need to give us what we want. And this is where we are with it now. Not to say that it's over, because it's not. It's just on Chelsea now. How much does Chelsea, Bowley, Vivell, Potter, how much do they want this player? How much do they want this player? Because if you want this player, you're going to have to pay. And it's going to have to be a huge lump sum up front. So whether or not we're going to do that, we'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't say it's over. It's not over yet. But if we move our attentions to another player of that position and it starts building up, then the answer to that is that we've moved away from the scenario completely. But until then, I think we need to just wait. I think we just need to be patient. We just need to see where it goes from here and what we hear from it moving forward. Over 360 of you guys here, 20 minutes in. Big up to you guys. Smash the likes, please. I know we ain't got enough likes. There's nearly 300 people on Chelsea Fan TV. Only 61 likes there, guys. Let's get these likes over if we can. 100 likes, please. Let's do that. And on GNA TV, we've got nearly 100 of you guys there as well. Only 26 likes, though, guys. Come on. Let's get these likes over 50. Should be over 50 by now as well. So please, come on. You're sitting here watching me. Please at least get the likes up. And we're going to open up the lines as well. Big up to Deals in the house as well. Nice to see you. What would you take if you had an option for of Cancelo or McAllister? Casado. I think I'd probably go for Casado. Check CFC's daily news. Okay, what's he saying? What's he saying? CFC Daily, what is he saying quickly? CFC Daily News is saying... Okay. Okay. So the Benfica, all right, well, we can just quickly look at this because the Benfica coach has obviously been questioned. So let's look at these questions on Benfica. So this has just come out recently. So the Benfica manager refuses to answer any questions regarding to Enzo. And then it goes on to say from there, the Benfica coach, and this is what he says, there is a club that wants Enzo. They know we don't want to sell him. They try to have the player on their side. It's a lack of respect and unacceptable for them to drive the player crazy and say they'll pay the clause and then they want to negotiate. So there you go. So the Benfica coach, guys, live here, breaking as well from whoever this is, some media company in Portugal, I'm assuming, have confirmed that the Benfica coach has spoken on the situation. Even though he said he wasn't going to, and then he's just gone and spoke about it, which makes no sense. What did he say on top of that as well? Oh, what's going on here? There we go. Can we hear it though?
Club who want our player, not.
All right, here we go, guys. All right, I can share this because there's no thing as well, so we'll be able to listen. I'm going to put myself on mute. Benfica coach, here we go. The Benfica coach is about to speak on Enzo Fernandez. Here we go. And this is just recent breaking news for you guys as well now. So here we go.
We cannot work against that. So then maybe we will lose the player. So the third point to this topic, there's a club who want our player. They know we don't want to sell the player. They try to get the player on their side, and they know that they only can get this player when they pay the clause. So it's a very clear situation. What the club is doing, who want to buy Enzo, is disrespectful against all of us, against Benfica, and I cannot accept what they are doing. So to make the player crazy and then to pretend they can pay the clause and later they want to negotiate, I think is not what I understand about a good relationship between clubs who maybe want to discuss about the player. So that's what I can say about the whole topic with Enzo, and I will not answer further further. We cannot work against that. So then maybe we will lose the player. So the third point to this topic, there's a club who want our player. They know we don't want to sell the player. They try to get the player on their side, and they know that they only can get this player when they pay the clause. So it's a very clear situation. What the club is doing, who want to buy Enzo, is disrespectful against all of us, against Benfica, and I cannot accept what they are doing. So to make the player crazy and then to pretend they can pay the clause and later they want to negotiate, I think is not what I understand about a good relationship between clubs who maybe want to discuss about the player. So that's what I can say about the whole topic with Enzo, and I will not answer further
Well, there you go, guys. There you go. There you go. I mean, what what more can you say to that? He refuses to announce the consequences in regards to Enzo's leaving unauthorized. Also adds, nobody wants to sell Enzo, the president and coach. And then again, I'll read it out again just for people that ain't aware of it. I've just played the video. If you want to check the video out, please do so. It says there's a club that wants Enzo. They know we don't want to sell him. They try and have the player on their side. It's a lack of respect and unacceptable for them to drive the player crazy and say that they're going to pay the release clause and then want to negotiate. So there you go. He's just spitted specifically on what's just happened and the situation in and around Chelsea. I'm just going to retweet that as well. Did I retweet it? I don't think it's letting me. So, oh, the tweet's been deleted. Tweet's been deleted. Oh, it can't be. Let me retweet it, man. Anyway, yeah. Well, let me retweet it. It's saying the tweet's been deleted. God knows what's happened here. Try again. There we go. So, strong words towards Chelsea. Yes, correct. What were your thoughts on that, guys? Because to me, That just, and he didn't say, because at the beginning of that conversation, if you listen closely, he kind of went into, because he said third. So he said first, second. So he kind of said that, I'm pretty sure he said that the player could still go. That's what I heard. But I want to see the whole, I wanted to see the whole press conference, but I didn't get to see. I only saw a little bit of it. But that pretty much there stated that he could still go. However, thirdly, we're not happy with Chelsea. They told us they're going to do something. They've told the player they're going to do something. They're going to pay for him. They've basically pulled the player onside, which means the player is on the side of Chelsea, wants to leave, doesn't want to be here, which is what he said there, pretty much in his own words. We want him. We want him to stay. We've agreed to talk to them because they've agreed to pay the money. And then they've decided that they don't, that they just want to negotiate, which tells me they don't want to negotiate. They just want all of the money up front. You want the player, you pay the money up front. That is all they want. And it's a lot of money to ask for. So my thing is this, again, what are we doing? Chelsea Football Club, what are we doing? And why are we wasting time? Because from what I've listened to here, you've told them that you're going to do something, and the player, got the player in and out probably in a bit disagreement with the team and whatever, and the coach, and do this, that, and the other, and then not offered what you said you're going to offer. What are we doing? What are we doing? Check Benfica's official channel. Okay. I haven't got Benfica. There's nothing here, mate. I haven't got the official. Oh, you're talking about their YouTube channel. No, there's nothing there for Benfica. There's nothing's been said from Benfica there. So there you go, guys. Breaking news there, right there. And then what are your thoughts on that long, short story? We came to Benfica with a view of paying 120 million, settled the player, then lowballed them, wasted their time, and Vilvel's doing shit on his first transfer. That's what it sounds like. That is exactly what Enzo Fernandez is coming to Chelsea. Sky Sports have said Benfica have hit the jackpot. That can't be true. That can't be true. Todd talks to everyone, and he's not listening. You want player pay. You want player pay, but Todd thinks he can just negotiate bull crap. Casual EFC, big up to you, bro. Nice to see you in here as well. Couch critics in the house, big up to him. The release clause was a crazy sum. Glad we didn't pay it. Well, it's not even just about paying it though, Couch. Did you? And I don't know if you saw what we just saw there, the whole release clause thing, but that there was pretty crazy, to be fair. I'm surprised. He said he wasn't going to say anything, and then he says something. I find it quite funny, actually. But yeah, you know, that there doesn't look good. I'll be honest. That there tells me that you've kind of just burnt your bridges a little bit, and probably pissed them off along with that, because now they're going to have to keep a player on that has been mucked around and whatever, when they wanted to keep him in the first place. And the only reason that they were willing to talk to Chelsea is because Chelsea told them that they were going to pay the clause and then wanted to negotiate. Chelsea. Vivel, Bowley, come on, man. What are you doing? Can't be doing that. Not concerned. This board has multitasked before, and now we have a team and Vivel, so too many other. It's not even the other reactionary here, Marshall. It's about the way that we're doing things. It's about how we've approached this. For me, the biggest issue with this is the time. I know we've still got time anyway, but it's like we've wasted a little bit. I feel like we just wasted time. We wasted their time, the players' time, and our own time. If we was never ever going to pay that money in the first place, why bother? Just move on. Yeah, it's too much. We can't do it. It doesn't fit our structure, our wage structure. This is what we want to do. We can't just do it. That's what we should have done. We should have just gone, no, fine, Enzo, we'll try and come back for you in the summer, blah, 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 if we wanted him. Yeah, done. And you go. But we didn't. We said, we're going to pay more than the release clause, or we're going to pay the release clause. You told the player that you're going to pay the release clause. You forced the player to push on his side, which is what he's done. He's got himself into a bit of trouble because he thinks he's going Chelsea and he wants Chelsea. And then you go, well, actually, let's just have a cup of coffee and some sandwiches, and let's just negotiate. I think that would be the better option. And they're looking at you like, are you done? What are you doing? Like, we just told you that if you want him, it's the release clause or nothing. I don't know. I just find it a bit weird. I'm not going to lie. Big up to Brian in the house. Benfica would tell us to pay the release calls in full, or they will kick. Yeah, well, then we're not going to, we'll see. We'll see how much we really want the player, eh? Why are we crying about Benfica? We've had plenty of clubs unsettle our players in the past. But yeah, true. That's another thing. But I watched a clip of them. Where is the clip, though? I haven't got the clip. I haven't got the full clip. Let me see if I can find it. Over 500 of you guys here. Make sure you're smashing that like button. We have got a game as well today, guys. So we kind of need to move away from the Enzo Fernandez talk. We're also hearing that Chelsea are ready to offer a better contract terms for Mudryk than Arsenal. That's what I've just seen pop up as well. Now, Mudryk, his agent is with Chelsea tonight. He's with Bowley and that before the game tonight against City. So, if we're going to pay 60, 70 million for him, which and we had that money, when you think about it, we could have just not got Mudryk and just used that money to get Enzo Fernandez, right? Surely. We could have just done that. Surely we could have just done that. But if they go and get Mudryk now, if they do outbid Arsenal and they manage to pull him along and get it done or whatever, yeah, then, sorry guys, but we ain't getting Enzo as well. So it goes back to priorities, doesn't it? Who are we going to prioritise? The midfielder that we need to sort, or a forward? Because potentially we probably may let a forward go in the window, which could happen. Maybe as it goes or whatever. I don't know. Maybe that could happen. I don't see any full clips here. Yeah, Fabrizio Romano has just brought out a comment as well now on the player as well. He's basically just gone on to repeat what he says. We don't want to sell Enzo. The club that wants him tempted him, but they know the only way is the 120 million clause. They're disrespectful. They are leaving the player crazy. They acted like they wanted to pay the clause, and they want to negotiate. Chelsea. So we've tried to get the player, and we've just done it the complete wrong way. That's what we've done on this one. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Yeah, I can't go in their YouTube. I can't go on and show it because they will do me over. I can't do it, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd watch it. YouTube. Can I? No, I don't think I can. I think I get copyrighted, guys. I have to be careful with certain things that I bring out because if I just play something, let me have a look. They might copyright me. Yeah, I can't do it, guys. I can't show you the full interview. Well done, Bowley. It's embarrassing. Let's let it go. If you pay this release clause, there is no negotiation. Basically, yeah, that's true. That is it. If we pay it. No, he didn't. He didn't retweet the whole video. He just retweeted part of it. We've already looked at that. Let me have a. You're talking about. He only retweeted parts of it, guys. That's a minute long. I've seen the clip. We've already watched this already. Anyway, going off of that, what I think I'm going to do is, you know what? This made me laugh as well. This actually made me laugh. Look at this as well. All right. Chelsea submitted Hakim Ziyech plus 75 million for Enzo Fernandez, including Datro Fofana and Andre Santos on a loan. Let me just say this now, right? Let's just squash some of this because I'm just seeing so much shit all the time on Twitter, stories that are just made up. Yeah, they've just said that they're only going to accept a release clause. They're not going to accept 75 million in a player. It makes no sense. There's no benefit from them doing that. Not just only for Chelsea, but for Benfica. That is the last thing they're going to do. Oh yeah, we'll take 75 million and Hakim Ziyech. That makes a lot of sense. Especially when you're giving him a player that doesn't even play in the position of Enzo Fernandez. He's a forward. And they've probably got better forwards than Hakim Ziyech in their team anyway. Do you know what I mean? Now, what are people sending me? I'm getting people sending me stuff. What's going on here? What we got here? Give me sport. What are they talking about here? Oh wow. Okay. Well, I don't know how true. I mean, this is just Give Me Sport. Though. I can't even trust Give Me Sport. Apparently, Give Me Sport are saying that Chelsea are attracting attention or attracting the attention of Kone from Borussia Mönchengladbach. Apparently, Graham Potter is interested in the player via Simon Phillips, but as of recent, we've even seen from Simon Phillips that he's not been on point with his comments as well. So yeah, this is another one that just don't make sense to me. Todd burnt the food. He didn't have great food. There's no winning with a lots of the fans. Either they are upset we paid overs or upset that we aren't. Very strange. Well, no, I'll be honest, Marshall. I would say that I think, and I've said this already, I'd say 80 to 85% of the fan base wanted Enzo Fernandez. I just think the issue, and I think we could, again, 80 to 85% plus would agree on, is that the price tag is a bit heavy. You might be able to demonify and explain why you think he's worth that, but in real seriousness, he's not worth that. Go to Chelsea transfer, yeah. All right. People are giving me orders. Chelsea transfer. Let's have a look. Yeah, we've seen that. What we want to sort of. All right. Okay. So this is okay. Yeah, I've seen what you found. Thank you. Okay. So this is a comment from the Benfica. So remember I said to you before, because he said number 3. All we saw was a clip of him saying the third part of whatever he was saying. So this is the other part of what he was saying. We don't want to sell Enzo, neither I nor the president nor anyone else. Everyone knows that there is a clause in the contract, and of course the player wants to leave. And of course, if the player wants to leave and someone to pay, we can counter it, and then we'll probably lose the player. We can't counter it. Sorry. So let me read that again. We don't want to sell Enzo, neither I nor the president nor anyone else. Everyone knows that there is a clause in the contract, and of course, if the player wants to leave and someone to pay, we can't counter it, and then we'll probably lose the player. Basically, long story short, from now to January, at the end of the window, if you do not see Chelsea paying the release clause for Enzo Fernandez, we ain't getting the player. That is it. Whatever else you read, whatever else you see, whatever else someone says on Twitter about a player plus plus a certain amount or this or that, just ignore it. The Benfica coach has already come out and told us what Chelsea were going to do or need to do. That's if we haven't even broken the relationship with them, which it sounds like we've done partly anyway, after just mucking the player and them around for a couple of days. Chelsea can speak to Benfica and get the player, but they need to pay the money. That is it. There's nothing else to even think about anymore. That is it. I'm not even listening to negotiation of this, on that's that. No. That is it. That is where we're at with it, guys. 3 players. Well, what's going on here? Bring back Marino. We've got here. Felix sold us a dream. And like I said, you shouldn't be listening to Felix anyway. If you're sitting there taking in Felix's information as the gospel, a guy that's not a journo, just be serious, he just took a punt on something, then that's your problem. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's your problem. He's gone and punted. He's put himself out there. Yeah, he's going to get burnt by people, but for not getting it right. But, you know, it is what it is. We've been rumbled. We've literally been thrown out there. I mean, and the bad thing is for Bowley and Vivell and all of these people is now they're going to know that us, the fans, already know the situation and what they've done. So it's either now you go and get the player that most of the fan base is saying that they're behind and backing and want, like you told us you were going to do when you said you was going to pay the release clause in the first place, which is why the fan base backed it, or you don't, and then you go and look at something else. But do not waste time, especially the player and Benfica. If you're not interested, just fuck off. Get on with it. That's what I'm saying. That's what really annoys me about it. Just move on. We ain't got time to waste. We need to improve this squad. We are 10th. We are 10th, for fuck's sake. Give the manager some support, something. You've got a window here. Use it. Don't waste the time. We did it in the summer window with the centre-backs. The amount of time we wasted on De Ligt, on Koundé, on others that we were linked to. And they ended up getting Koulibaly and Fofana, the last blimmin' case. Like, it's not like that. I don't blame him then, because he's just, again, like I keep saying, he's just new to it all. I get it. He's still learning. But you've got a team now. You've got Vivel. The guy is experienced. Let him do his job. But don't waste time. He knows how much we've got to spend and play with and do, and what we're going to try and do with the wage structure and bills. And like, he knows that they know what they're doing out there. Let's just not fucking do what we just did and waste it. Like, just get on with it. It's not wasted. He is a great midfielder. I love him. I want him. I've been saying how much I want Enzo Fernandez at Chelsea. Anyway, there you go. That is Enzo Fernandez. on the brighter side of it, Graham Bailey says Chelsea remain hopeful of a deal will be struck for Enzo Fernandez, but the president, Rui Costa, is currently standing firm. Chelsea can plan to continue talks as they believe and strike a deal. This is it, and I'm going to say it for you. I'm just going to say it for you on here. There's 600 of you here right now. This is it. This is how we should be looking at it as fans, right? From now to the January window, till whenever, till the end of the January window. If we do not see Chelsea go and offer the release clause for the player, I am not interested in any negotiations of how long of the lengthy contracts. I am interested in any player swaps plus money for the player. If we do not see that the release clause is going to be paid for the player and Benfica have agreed, because like they've just said, if Chelsea pay the release clause or over there, they're also for the release clause, they can't counter it. It's done. The player's already set to come to Chelsea. He's already agreed terms with Chelsea. There's an overall agreement there with them. If Chelsea do not just lay that money, they are not getting him. That is it. I'm not reading anything else. That's it when it comes to Fernandez. And if they don't do it because it's too much money, I don't have no problem with it. And I'm sure you as fans have no problem with Chelsea not getting Enzo Fernandez if the real answer is just purely because he's too much and we don't want to spend that much money. We just accept it. I think we would. But let's just not do what we're doing now and fuck around and waste time, because that is wrong. That is the wrong way to be dealing with things. That is it. Anyway, guys, we've done nearly blimmin' 48 minutes of talking about Enzo Fernandez. Jesus, nearly 600 of you guys here as well. Big up to every single one of you guys that is in the chat. We have got a game today as well, and we have to quickly talk about the game. I will be talking and opening the lines in regards to Enzo Fernandez. You want to talk about that? If you want to talk about the game, the lines are going to be open in the next 5 to 10 minutes. I'm going to be very quick, right? And we'll open the lines and get you guys involved. Chelsea have won just one of their previous 13 Premier League games against a Big Six side at Stamford Bridge. Basically, we have a shit record. Look at this. This doesn't set very well for us. We lost 2-0 to Liverpool in 2020. We drew 0-0 with Tottenham at home. We lost 3-1 at home. We drew 0-0 with Man United, and we lost 1-0 in 2020-2021. In 21-22, we lost to Man City 1-0. We drew with Man United 1-0. They then drew again. We beat Tottenham, but then we lost to Arsenal 4-2. And then in 22-23, we drew with Tottenham, we drew with Man United, and we lost to Arsenal. Shit. Bad. This is so bad for Chelsea Football Club. We are not in a good place, I'll be honest with you. That is not good against the top six. That is well not good enough. And it goes back to the issue that we have at the Bridge. It should be pumped at the Bridge. The derbies, the games against Man United and Man City. Big games. We're a big team. Like, I don't get it. It is what it is. I didn't know it was that bad, to be honest. Big up to Leo in the house as well. It's not good. That's not good. I'll tell you that. In terms of the head-to-heads between Man City and Chelsea, we'll quickly just flung into that before we get into the team lineups. Chelsea have played Man City 172 times, beaten them 71 times, drawing 40, and losing only 61. So this is the head-to-head record between us and them. The biggest wins for each team was the 6-0 win for them. I remember that, the worst game I've ever seen in my life. I remember watching that abroad. It made me feel sick in 18-19. But then we beat them in 07-08, 6-0 as well. And Man City's biggest win at Stamford Bridge was 4-1 back in 1978. No side's beaten Pep's Man City on more occasions in the Premier League than Chelsea, who have 5 wins since the start of 16-17, predominantly all Tuchel, really, when you think about it. So we have a very good record against Pep Guardiola and Man City, basically, the best record in the league of beating them, which is, you know, if anything, not bad. Chelsea are looking to prevent Man City recording a 4th consecutive victory against us in a row. 4 wins if they win tonight. You know that is just ridiculous. The last win was when Hakim Ziyech and Marcus Alonso were on the score sheets. Our last 5 meetings, we lost 1-0. What's that? 1-2-0. That's not even in order. Sorry. We lost 1-0 and then lost 3-1 and then we won 2-1. And then we won 2-0 and then lost. This is the last time to play them there. Chelsea's form, do I even have to show you our form? Look at that. That lost, 1 draw. 3 losses, 1 win and 1 draw is our record. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Blues have won 2 of their last 7 Premier League games against the reigning champions. Shocking. Chelsea have suffered 2 defeats in our 15 Premier League matches played on a Tuesday. 8 wins and 5 draws. So apparently, Thursday games are actually quite good for Chelsea. They've won 8, drawn 5, and only lost 2 out of 15. So if that's any good luck charm there, guys, Thursday is actually a good day for Chelsea to play football. Are we using a bit of luck? We're praying for these stats to be true. Raheem Sterling to score his 50th Premier League away goal at Nottingham Forest as well. Yeah. Who's the ref? That's what I want to know. Who is the ref? We got the ref details? No, we haven't. All right, cool. So that's that. I want to move on to the lineup. Now, I want you guys to get involved as well really quickly. I'm going to show you what I think Graham Potter's going to do. And then I'm going to show you what I want to do. Yeah. And then we're going to open up the lines and get you guys involved. All right. So Kepa's in goal because we haven't got anyone else. Cucurella's going to play. Silva will play. This is what I think is the predicted lineup. Thiago Silva will play. I think Chalobah is going to play tonight. And I think Azpilicueta is going to be our right back. That's what I think he's going to do. And then I think he's going to go with Jorginho, Kovacic, and Mount. That's going to be the middle. Then up front, you're going to have Sterling. I think you're going to have Pulisic. And I think you're going to have Havertz. That's what I think he's going to do. I think that is the lineup. That's what I think we're going to do. Koulibaly could play, don't get me wrong. I am very worried playing Man City with a back 4. Equally, I would play a back 3 in this game tonight, in my opinion. I don't think a back 4 against Man City is any idea very good. Offensively, we're not playing well anyway, even though we've got an extra attacker on the pitch playing the 4. But against the Man City team that's going to dominate the ball and press high and this, that, and the other, I just worry with a Mahrez, with a Haaland, with a Foden, with a De Bruyne running in behind here. I think we're going to have problems. Yeah, no. What I would do, and I'll be honest with you, is this is what I would do. You might not like it, but I would go with the usual 3-4-3, and I'd play Silva, and I'd put Cucurella there, and I'd put Zakaria on. I'll take Jorginho out. I wouldn't even have to Jorginho in the team. I'll play Zakaria, Kovacic. I don't even think I've got him there, but I'd actually play Lewis Hall. Yeah. Oh, we ain't got him. I'd take out that one. There's Lewis Hall, and then I'd play Pulisic, Havertz, and Sterling. That's what I would do. But then Mount has to play, so wherever he gets in, I don't know. But that's what I would do. I think that's what I would do. Lewis Hall on the left, Cucurella, Silva, Chalobah, Kovacic, Zakaria, Pulisic, Havertz, Sterling, Azpilicueta will have to play there unless you play Ruben, and I'll just go three at the back. Go for it. We saw Zakaria and Kovacic play Man City away, and we had equally one of our best games when Lewis Hall should have scored 2 goals. You know? Anyway. There we go. Yeah, tell me about it, Sophia. It's a nightmare. Hero pissed at Chelsea for messing him up. Yeah, we went through it. We put on the video from the Benfica coach explaining it as well. I'll put the link in the chat if you guys want to come in and have your say. The link is in the chat. Enzo Fernandez, you want to talk about? Come in and have your say. Do you want to talk about Man City game? Come in and have your say. The lines are now open. Over 500 of you guys here as well. Classref, I don't even know what's happened to Classref. He's disappeared. Let me know what your thoughts and the feelings are and your opinions are as well. Let's see if there's any more news while we're waiting on here. Everyone's just completely shocked with the comments that we've seen from the Benfica coach, what I can see at this point. No, Maddie, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. How is your break? All good?
All good.
Good to
You know,
hear.
me and you have been laughing about this whole thing. It's just, how have we botched this so badly like this?
I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, what were your thoughts? Come on, talk to me. Benfica coach coming out saying what he said about Chelsea agreeing to pay the release and then asking they want to negotiate, and then they will just, and you've mucked the player around as well because the player thinks we're going to do this and we didn't do it. And what's your thoughts? Go on, tell me.
The whole thing, you can tell that what Benfica wanted, from how I see it, is they wanted that 120 million. And I think we went into the table telling them that we can pay that. I think the whole negotiation part was, I think they were willing to let us stagger the 120. And it will be 120, but they were willing to let us stagger it. But given like a huge, probably first installment, and then we just went and lowballed them. It doesn't make sense. You go and settle a player, you go and call one of the most, like a super agent in Mendes to help you broker that deal. And then you just go on and fuck everyone over. Benfica, who have a whole like library of very good upcoming South American kids, and you'll probably work with them later in the years, with Mendes, who has a whole good part of very nice players. And then, like, it just doesn't make sense. I don't know what we were thinking.
I don't know. And like I said to you, from what I can understand from it all, the only way that we actually, one second, I've just got something come in. All right. And let me just quickly go through this, guys, and we'll come in and I'll go in back to you in a second. Yeah, let me just quickly bring this up. So Piers has brought out a comment from Merlot, Cesar Luis Merlot, the guy that we were talking about earlier on. And this is what he says. Chelsea, led by Christopher Vale and monitored by Todd Bowley, offered 90 million euros to be paid in 4 installments, and the possibility that 3 Chelsea players would be in the middle of the deal. Benfica, very angry, returned to the position of release clause or nothing. On Monday, the 2nd of January, Chelsea said that they would pay 105 million sterling. Therefore, Benfica waited for the structure to be put together. But then Chelsea changed the condition and Benfica said, we have to now do this in 48 hours. This is when negotiations took place on the 3rd and the 4th of January. Chelsea then arrived on the 4th of January with the offer mentioned. Well below that was discussed, which was 90 million compared to the 127 million. So basically, on the 4th of Jan, which was yesterday, Chelsea, rather than Chelsea putting more than what they would want the release clause, they ended up laying a 90 million euro offer for the player on an installment package, which is basically fucking around Benfica. And there was a 48-hour deadline to get the structure ready. We didn't get it ready in time. And all we've actually done, from what I've read, if you want my honest opinion, is what really is pissing me off with all of this. It's just waste time again. Why are we doing? If this is true, why are we even bothering? Like, what you think they're going to say? Yeah, when they've told you at the beginning, release calls only, and they've made it clear they want to keep the player. Why would we go to these levels to then do that?
Jem, honestly, I don't agree with that at all. I really am on the opposite side of this.
What don't you agree with?
So first of all, wasting time? It's January 5th. The window opened on January 1st. So it's not really like we spent, weeks, months trying to negotiate this.
No, but it's not that's not what I mean by that. I mean wasting Benfica's time and the players' time. Because if you're saying that you're going to pay something and you do the complete opposite.
What is the point of meeting if not to negotiate, right? What is the point? We could just easily just pay the release clause and there's no negotiation at all.
No, but
so for me, I'm looking at it like this. Yeah, you guys say you want the release clause, but there is room for negotiation. Let's try and negotiate.
There obviously isn't now, is there?
Yeah,
there isn't now.
Well, now we've come to that conclusion. That there's no room for negotiation.
Go on.
The problem was, right, I think based on reports, they thought that they were going to get near the negotiation fee, which was like 4 installments, and they wanted like the first installment to be large sum of money. I think that's what the original plan was.
No, I agree with that.
I think that's it.
We're talking about the installments and not the actual process of negotiation. So the installments were supposed to be enough for them to pay off River Plate and then also bank on it as well. That's what they wanted.
This isn't enough, because from what we're reading here is telling us again that the total package offer from Chelsea is nowhere near the 127 or 120 million release calls anyway. We were always underpaying, even in the package that we were offering them over whatever period we was offering it in the first place, which is why I'm annoyed. Why waste the time of doing that? If you know that you need to offer X amount and that is what you've got to do, why do you then offer B amount?
Well, again, like I said before, I don't know if, do you go, when you're negotiating for a car and they tell you the car is $30,000 or take it or leave it, do you go back and say, give them $30,000, or do you negotiate?
If I go to a dealer and the dealer's cost £30,330, I know that there's no negotiation for a dealer on that anyway, especially if you go to someone like Audi or BMW. That is the value.
No, but if you're going to try and negotiate, you're not going to pick that.
Man. You could definitely negotiate, man.
But coach, you're not going to slap 20 grand if it's 30,000. You're going to slap near
the fee. The numbers are the numbers. The bottom line is
exactly
room for negotiation, right?
That ain't really good negotiating, is it? That's my point. If that's what we're saying, this is not really good negotiating, is it? Because you're offering not only what you're offering them is well under what they wanted in the first place anyway. Do you know what I mean? We've got to come in from the shore.
Again, I don't know. Like, I'm not willing to just accept what we're reading right now. I will agree that Christopher Vivell is a very good negotiator. We've seen him work before. I'm not willing to just accept this is just Todd Bowley and Egbali just like basically saying, well, no, this is what we have, $75 million. That's it. Take it or leave it. We have to trust that we are at least skilled negotiators in some aspect of this. It's not as cut and dry as like, here's the money, that's take it or leave it, So.
But then with what has happened over the summer, it has shown that we have been negotiating really badly. That's the thing that I'm saying with the recent record, which isn't really good, but over the summer, it has shown that our negotiating hasn't really been on par. And I will give Bowley that because I don't expect him to know about football negotiations and all that.
Yeah.
But I will expect Vivell, as you have said, to be a very good negotiator. If by Monday, what we offered was 90 million, how are we going yesterday and offering 75? That's just bad negociation.
Again, all these numbers are just, we're going on the numbers right now. And if it's true that we went back and said 75, I don't know. I don't know what to say. These numbers are being thrown around. I heard the other day that Matt Law said that we offered 105. I heard Nazar Kinsella.
But he did.
Yeah, none of them know anything. That's the problem.
So who do we listen to? Who are we
listening
to?
None of them. I'll tell you, like I said earlier, Couch, the only way we get this player, and this is what we have to do as fans, is pay the release clause. If you do not see any news from Chelsea saying that they're willing to pay the release clause in full, we ain't getting this player. That is it for me. I don't think there is anything else.
Well,
it was weird because the reports were saying, one was saying that we offered a deal that was too good to turn down. Now all of a sudden it's been turned down. So
There we go.
it's just confusing.
yeah, that's all paper talk again, guys.
It doesn't mean that
That's
we're
all
not going to
paper
go.
talk.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that we're not going to go and renegotiate. What I'm saying is, from listening to that video from the Benfica coach, they're a bit annoyed. You can tell, right? They're a little bit annoyed because they want to keep the player anyway. Seems like with that Chelsea have managed to persuade the player to kind of just, come to. He wants Chelsea. We know that he wants Chelsea, and whatever else. And the thing for me is like,
We've unsettled the player. They have every reason to be upset.
yeah, no, but we can. Of course we can. But the thing is, like, I just feel like it's just what Nomadic said. Like, you've got Vivel there. You know how much you've got to spend in that area. You know what you need to do. You know what Benfica's stance is on it. You know what they want. I agree with you in terms of we've probably agreed to pay it and then try to structure it. But then Benfica want more in the first instalment, which is what I said earlier in the show. Anyway, I agree that's probably true. But if what doesn't make sense is offering a total package where you split out the payments of it, adding up to a total of 90 million euros, because you're still undercutting the total cost of what they wanted in the first place.
Right.
That's
but
what
maybe that was structured in a way that they're getting more upfront. So the 90 million might have been like 75 million upfront. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not. You might be taking less. Yes, you're not paying the release clause, but you might be getting more upfront at that. Again, like, this is just all negotiations. I don't know exactly what was done.
But the thing is that we don't know the background.
We've come to the
From
point.
what they're saying
They
is,
don't want
I'm
to
sorry, I cut someone off. From what they're saying is, what we know is they didn't want to sell. That we know, and it seems like we came into the table with a mindset of we can get to about 120 euros. That was what brought them probably to the table. And I'm thinking they came to a realization we can't give you 120 million all in one lump sum. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So please give us time. Let's negotiate. We'll give you probably a huge lump sum and then we'll stagger the rest. But when it came down to yesterday, you go and give them a whole package of 90 million instead of getting a little bit closer to the 120. I think that was the whole issue.
It could very simply just be this: giving them the 90 million euros with a lot of it front loaded, and then incentive laden, like making the contract, the rest of the deal incentive laden. So they're not release clause per se, but they're reasonable, like, incentives. So clauses that can be agreed to. Like, we don't know. All we know is that we're seeing these numbers and we don't know how it's being structured. And we're like, oh, we just lowballed it. No. What if we went with 90 million and then the remaining?
But let's not act like the lowball isn't true, because from what we're reading, it seems like we've actually
we actually lowballed them. I get you are willing, and that's the point. I'm willing to give Todd grace because he really doesn't know much about football negotiation. But what I'm not willing to do is give Vivel grace. You've been in football for years. You should be advising Todd on ABCD. And that is the reason why you have a whole Mendes mouthpiece in Duncan Castles. Everyone knows that's a Mendes mouthpiece. And that's when I had an issue. He came out yesterday before even all the Portuguese journalists started coming out and said, Chelsea are lowballing. Chelsea need to increase that offer. They're lowballing Benfica. And you can tell that probably Mendes has told him this deal isn't going to happen if the structure stays the same. I get it's negotiation, and that's what people do. You just don't go in there and give them 120, you negotiate. That's well and true. I accept that. But you can't go from willing to pay 120 M's and then go and give them an offer of 80 million. If you are not willing to go to 120, just don't go negotiate.
The negotiating thing makes sense to a point where you know that even if you do put that offer, you're going to go back with a bit more. So even if you try it, you test the waters, they say no, and you go again with it because you've got a bit more reserve mind inside. But it doesn't make sense.
80 plus 20 adults.
It doesn't make sense when you're being told you've got a deadline. So if you know that you've got a 48-hour deadline to put something together, why would you put something together that's completely? No, I'm just saying that might not be true, but from what we're being told, apparently there's a 48-hour deadline. So why would they put that forward, knowing that if there's a deadline from Benfica on the player, do you know what I mean? Like that don't make sense.
Yeah, you
So,
mentioned earlier, like with burning bridges, maybe. Part of me is like, is Benfica, were they friends with the Roman, like with that era, or are they friends with Chelsea? Because we usually have a good relationship with Benfica, and they seem to be effing it up completely.
Yeah. Something's not right. We've got this super chat quickly from Sean Nunez. He said, I reckon it gets hostile tonight when we start to lose. Also, maybe Trev at right back because Aspie could get destroyed versus City. I agree with the Trev at right back, to be honest. I don't know why we don't give that a go.
We got City twice, man. It gets sticky after that.
Thanks for the donation. Someone said Fabrizio Romano's tweeted again. Let's see what he's saying quickly.
It looks like Benoit Badiashile is finalized.
Is he?
This bro.
Hey.
My gosh.
How long?
7.5 years.
7.5 years.
Jeez,
2029
and Enzo's 2028.
I'll be an old man by then. Jesus, no.
You're already an old man now, right?
Cheers, Nomadic. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, let's just quickly share.
Have anyone think about, are we overspending on Enzo? No, I mean he's a very good player.
That's not for debate, Dinesh. That's not for debate because this is what I said earlier on. 80% plus of this fan base have already agreed that we're overpaying for it. That's not I think we could all agree. But also 80% of the fan base, I'm pretty sure, have all agreed that if we're going to get him, get him. No one's really caused a big stir about it, and from what I've seen about him not coming. Do you know what I mean? So if you're not going to get him, just don't get him because he's too much, and we will accept it as a fan base. Yeah, it's too much. Just forget it. We're not going to do it. But if you're going to commit to it and you're going to do it, and they're telling you that you've got to do the release clause, then we'll back you for doing it. Fine, but do one or the other. Don't just fuck around. Do you know what I mean? That's just what annoys me.
But now this will put Chelsea down because if Chelsea go for another player like McAllister or someone else, they are going to ask for more money because they do know that Chelsea have money right now because they were going. But that's the thing.
Every club more or less knows how much money we can spend. They all know each other's financial fair plays. You know how much. So you can't say other clubs will take advantage of Chelsea because once we spend this, I think we had like 60 or 70 mil. If we spent 130 million, we only had 60 or 70 mil to spend this season. You know, that's why they want to play it in installments so we could buy another player for whatever 80 mil plus. But every team knows exactly what the other teams can spend within the FFP. Like, you know, they're all.
You can't say that because the books are very private and everything. I think what all
you say
of us
that, but in this era,
about the 6 of us, I think we can all agree that we really, really do not know how FFP works. We have a general idea, but it's really interesting.
And it increases, you know?
That's what I'm saying. I think all of us can agree that. But my question was, even leaving the whole FFP thing, if we were to overspend on a player, do you pay 100 for Vardiol or do you pay 100 on Enzo?
I'll go for Enzo. I mean, that's what we need.
Yeah, got done up, man.
We've been neglecting midfield since 2018. He has to be midfield. I don't care who it is.
Where it becomes interesting is if we actually go out and try and get this Modric guy from Arsenal, and for him, he's going to cost a good 70 mil itself. So my thing is, if we do actually go for this boy, and we've got meetings with his agent tonight at Stamford Bridge, if we do actually manage to pull them aside and offer a better package for the wage and for the transfer, then that tells me that Enzo Fernandez was never the priority because that kind of money could have just been used for this deal, right?
True.
Now. So this is what I'm saying. It is for me right now. I'm not going to pull my hair out about it. I'm a little bit annoyed with what I'm reading, but at the same time, I think I'm just going to wait.
I don't trust the news, man. I don't trust the news. I think it's going to Arsenal. I think Modric is going to Arsenal. Shakhtar is just using Chelsea's name so that Arsenal pay is 80 million. Because Arsenal, I think, was like 40 million plus they add another 20 million. But Shakhtar wants 80 million. So we use Chelsea name so that Arsenal will be like, oh shit, I need to pay more now. You know, so
that should be
now
illegal.
we're gonna balance it.
The only thing
be illegal,
you know. This whole Enzo thing, and this is the last thing I probably got to bounce it anyways. Is
go on,
I have no problem with us walking away from a deal that has a release where they're asking for the release clause. And the reason is I want Enzo, but I don't want him at any cost. I don't want him at any cost. So
that's what I'm saying.
This number 127, 120 is way too high. So I have no problem with them lowballing or anything like that, because that's as far as I'm willing to go anyways. That's just me though. You know, I don't want him at any cost.
That's fine, but then if you don't want him, go and start looking at the Casados and other people.
Someone else, yeah, we have to go somewhere else. Actually, we're wasting time.
Probably not. I want him. That's the difference. I do want him, yeah, and that's.
I want him at any cost.
Yeah, but at the same time, if we walked away from it and we didn't want it because we just thought it was too much and we can't, I agree. I wouldn't be that angry about it to a degree, because I'd understand it as long as we go and then utilize that money elsewhere and try and rectify our midfield, right? Because that's what we want. So
DeLong saying exactly where our stance was. Ornstein said we wouldn't be held ransom.
I agree with that.
That's exactly mad. No one else wants him. Like, no other clubs even mentioned a sliver of his name. Exactly.
It's not that they don't want him. They don't want him at 120.
They don't want him at 1. They didn't want him at 109.
But you do know nothing changes
if we go to the summer. I don't think he comes to us. If we go to the summer, because Bellingham is going to go for about the same price, about 120 euros or something. So whoever does not get him between City, Liverpool, Real Madrid has about 120 million burning in their pocket. And if it comes to the summer, we are not getting him. If we don't get him by 31st of January, he's not ours.
Nothing changes in the summer because he's on a long. This guy signed a long-term contract.
Yeah, he's screwed.
But
the release clause.
What if he starts playing bad? What if he starts playing bad like he did the other day when they got smashed? They played terrible. They got smashed. He had to come off. If they start playing like that, I won't even pay 70 mil for the guy. You know what I'm saying?
But we can now start rewriting. We're doing all this thing because he just had one game coming off a World Cup, and it's probably his head is already
maybe you're right.
It has been said that he didn't really actually want to play that game.
But they got smashed. Like they could be 5
million. It's not just him. The whole team was shit. Yeah,
you're right. But what if, like he just starts playing terrible? Even I don't want to say in purpose. That's unprofessional. But they're gonna start to think, oh, he's not playing as he was before the World Cup because of the Chelsea thing. Honestly, I just call it karma if it stops happening.
I think Enzo is scared because of the release clause. Because when Enzo heard that Chelsea is willing to pay the release clause, he's like, oh my god, Chelsea is my escape road. Because Jem is right. Not many teams is going to go pay that release clause. Even you can say maybe someone like PSG, but even like teams are not gonna be like, no, it's too much. But when Enzo heard that Chelsea is willing to go that much, then Enzo is like, let me help because I want to go out of Benfica. So that's what I'm thinking Enzo is doing. Enzo is like, okay, Chelsea is my way out, so let me do that. And then later on, after 5-7 years, let me see where I can go from there because he's still young, Enzo, still very young. But I like Enzo as a player, I do. But I think now, Bowley, he needs to have scouting, Vival, whoever works with him, needs to have plan A, plan B, plan C. If plan A doesn't work, don't waste time. Go for your plan B, go for your plan C.
What is plan B?
That's it.
Like, does anyone have any player on their tongue that fits an Enzo?
That's why I don't know. I don't know what's the plan B. I don't know. There's a lot of good players out there, but I don't know.
Declan Rice now.
No, there isn't. What Enzo brings in terms of, if we're talking specifically about the profile of the player, what Enzo has, I don't think there is many players out there that can do what he does. And if you go and look at another midfielder, and you look at a Cancelo and you start looking at Rice's, they are completely.
It's not the same profile though.
That's what I'm
saying. I think if you don't get Enzo, probably go and mess about with Barcelona again and De Jong, and they do not want that.
It's like a De Jong. He is like a De Jong.
Exactly.
He is more like a De Jong. That's true.
And now De Jong will literally sit on the bench, but he'd rather sit on the bench in Barcelona than come to England. He's not coming. I don't want to deal with 3 months of Barcelona again.
Yeah. I think De Jong's going to come to Man United in summer, but that's
it could be.
I digress.
The champions and stuff.
Yeah, I think Casado is the best buy just because when I saw him in the World Cup, he had that hunger. Like, I like it when I see players do well both internationally and nationally and for the club. You got
I'll say go for Amrabat, man. I mean, if you want a cheap option,
I got Amrabat shirt. I got my Amrabat shirt, bro. I love Amrabat, but I wish.
But it's not the same profile. It's not just about buying.
Nah, he's more of a Kante,
because right now, I'm thinking for how can we get something out this season? Because if we want to get something in Champions League, we need at least someone like Amrabat. Like, give me someone that would do like a Mika job right now. That would stabilize Chelsea. I mean, I know Enzo is good. I want Chelsea to get Enzo. but I cannot blame Boli as well. If Rui, because I heard Rui Costa is very arrogant and very up to I want this. So if they want 120 million,
what's annoying about it all is that the fan base have been, and this is why I'm annoyed with the journos. Not Chelsea as much, because maybe our stance has always been this, but like we've been painted an image of that. You know, Chelsea really want him. They're going to do everything. They're going to pay above the release clause. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. They're looking to pay that. They're like, and we all sat here thinking, well, all right. And Benfica have entertained it, and we're thinking, all right, they've not come out and said anything. Like, this is going to happen. Enzo's pushed it. He's got a total agreement with Chelsea. He wants Chelsea. I'm just sitting here waiting for us to just get the structure of the contract done. But we're nowhere even near that, guys. We're nowhere even near that.
And that's the thing that pisses me off, since I'm not blaming Boli. And I think what he's done, like the footballing structure, I love it a lot. But I hate how there's been so many leaks, and I want them to nip that in the bud. I don't like the fact that we know our whole starting 11 2 hours before the game. Literally,
putting Chelsea in the mud. That's true. That's so true.
Because I reckon that's done on purpose. Part of the Chelsea franchise is the amount of information, transfer news, think about engagement and clicks. I guarantee if we didn't leak,
but it doesn't look good on them. I get what you're saying, but then when you go into a negotiating table and everyone, when Boba or something, I'm butchering his name, the one who negotiates for Brighton, and was like, oh, when Chelsea came, Todd is a very good negotiator, blah blah. After Kuku, they fleeced us for 62 million for Kuku, and they know that, and that's why they were praising him. When you go to Napoli and they're like, oh, he's very easy, blah blah blah, they fleeced us. Yes, we needed the players, but the point is, I don't want us to have a reputation the same way Man United have a reputation of, whether you like it or not, they will come back to the table and pay.
There in itself is the reason why you don't pay the release clause. There in itself is the reason.
True.
Exactly. Right.
There's specific players you go all out for.
The reason you said Cucurella deal was an overpay. That's an overpay.
No, we review the specific player. Do you think people sit here and say VVD is expensive? Everyone knew they overpaid, but do people sit here and say VVD is expensive? Do people sit here and say Alisson is expensive? We all know they overpaid Roma and Southampton, but if you do good, there's specific players in your team.
But Enzo is still very young, though. Van Dijk has
I get that, but that's a difference. Enzo is 21. Even if we give him a 7-year deal, there is a resale value. Even if it's for half the price, there is a resale. VVD was never going to have a resale value, and they bought him for 70-something. There's no resale value in Van Dijk.
Yeah, no. What I would say is that he is an investment in itself.
Yeah, he's a big risk.
If you buy him for that, you can sell him at 26, and he goes to Madrid or Barcelona or whatever.
Yeah, but that's assuming that he doesn't flop, right?
Yeah.
But then, wait a second, and in that case, that's assuming that if he flops, that tells me that this system and structure isn't sorted, in my opinion, for him to.
For me, I believe Chelsea right now, everyone is coming in is going to flop right now.
Sorry, dude. 1 second, man. You don't make that sort of investment if you're not 100% sure that this player is going to be. And I know there's no guarantees anyway. But I can't see us paying 127 million euros on a 21-year-old, and then so if he flops, say for instance he comes in and he's not exceptional, he's on these incredible wages. How do you move him? Do you think that Barcelona is going to want to buy him a flop? Do you think that the Real Madrid's going to want to buy a flop? But you can't move these players after the fact. So we have to be cognizant of the fact that when you pay these sorts of fees, you have to be almost 100%.
He could also, but on the flip side of it, he could also not be a flop and actually have some very good seasons at Chelsea and change the structure of us, and we look better. And so I get all that. And what we would say, couch to that, is we as Chelsea fans go on the past, and what we've seen on expensive buyers is not that it works at Chelsea, does it? Because every time we buy someone that's 100 million or whatever, it flops. Yeah, but ultimately, the one thing I will say about this Chelsea squad is that I think it will get better. And when I say we'll get better, I mean we'll have better players in the squad. Then it'll be down to the manager to get the best out of the players. And that's the question mark that we have with Graham Potter. Is he the right manager to be able to do this or not? And how long is Bowley and co going to give him to be able to do this stuff. But what I will say about Enzo Fernandez, I think we're going to go in for him again. I do. I think there's going to be one real push to try and get something done after this, in my opinion. I think we're going to try and do something. Whether or not we pull it off is another story. But that one real big push, I think, will be over the 100 marks. Whether it's over on the release clause basis, whether they manage to negotiate it a little bit less, but it's over 100 and spread the cost, but give them one bigger installment at the beginning, which then pleases them, and they just go, do you know what? The player's still on our head. He wants to leave anyway, and we've got close to the release clause. Let's just do it. And we're getting a bigger chunk as well, 60, 70 million. Like, that could still all happen, right? That may happen. That may not happen. We may just turn our attentions to someone else. But I do think we will try one more time in some sort of way on the back of what we've heard today. But
I think it will depend on Enzo as well. It all depends what Enzo will do now. Like someone said that all depends on the next game. Like, what is the relationship with Enzo now with Rui Costa, with the manager? Chelsea's doing his job. Enzo, now it's your time, bro. If
well, you could put a transfer request in if you wanted to.
Nope.
That's the other option.
You don't put a transfer request and then this team doesn't go in and get you.
No, exactly. Yeah, that's
true. But
by
it's only
the time
Benfica,
you put in a transfer request, you should be very sure that Chelsea will do everything in their power to come in for you. This player has until 2027 on his contract. There is no way he's going to jeopardize his relationship with those fans and then he doesn't leave.
But I don't know. Like, he doesn't really care about Benfica.
He doesn't really care about Benfica.
He's Argentinian. They hate the I'm not going to go into politicals of it, but he don't care.
He don't care about Benfica.
The only people that are actually really making this really hard are Benfica. Let's be serious, because when you look at it in hindsight, what they're already getting from Chelsea is a lot more than what they got him for anyway. So they are going to press him one way or the other.
But it's not their job to make it easy for us. If we wanted it easy, we should have scouted him from Argentina and bought him for that price.
Exactly.
10 million.
It's not their job to make it easy for us.
Yeah, but they don't respect the relationship.
They got him.
How about when they want players in the future from us?
Exactly. And to that point, I'll say this. The reason why we have this new structure in place, the Vivels, all these other dudes that they brought in, is because we want to be able to scout the next diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
I don't want to be paying overs for anybody. Like, that's the point of this structure. So the fact that we're trying to trigger release clauses at this point in time is offensive to me.
Crazy.
But why are we forgetting that we got a whole backroom staff from Brighton, and Brighton had extensively scouted Enzo, and they were close to getting Enzo. So probably that's what they're thinking. Brighton had extensively scouted Enzo and were willing to go and get him the same time they got Caicedo. Why are we not thinking of that? Yes. Brighton really scouted him, and we have a whole backroom staff of Brighton. It's the same way they came in and immediately went for Fofana. Why are we thinking that we haven't done our due diligence?
No, it's not about doing your due diligence. It's finding the next one. If he's over, he's now at a release clause of 120 million euros. That, for me, is well outside.
I get that, but the last time we refused to pay.
So the point is, we got these guys because they have the ability to find the next ones. They found these guys before they became the household name in Europe. That's what I want here. I don't want to see us pay.
And we will get it. It doesn't work instantly. One or two players in a team have to be very good players. You just don't go get all diamonds in the roughs. The last time we refused to pay, we refused to pay a release clause on a player. He went to Manchester City and hunted us for 10 years, while we went and paid 50 million for Torres, and everyone knew he was quote unquote washed. We refused to pay Atletico Madrid that probably 30 million.
Again, apples and oranges, these are completely different scenarios.
I get it, but then my point is, one or two players in a team have to be really good, and you have to go all out.
Yeah,
Enzo is worth 120 million to Chelsea. Whether we like it or not, he is worth 120 to Chelsea.
Maybe to you.
What he gives us is worth that.
But I don't understand why many teams doesn't go. I mean, if Enzo is that superstar, PSG, Real Madrid, Barcelona, why those teams don't go for Enzo Fernandez?
Not even for 100 or 90.
They are not money rich now.
Maybe you're right. Maybe this is summer.
They are money rich in the summer. In the summer, you will see a lot of people being able to pay that.
No, but this is the thing.
120 million?
The structure. Let me just say something quickly. it doesn't change much in the summer in terms of release clause. They're still going to want something from them. The only thing it may change is the negotiation side of it, because as of now, the reason they don't want to negotiate is because of how well Benfica are doing currently in the Champions League, currently in their league. They want to keep one of their best players. So, the negotiation of the player becomes open in the summer. What doesn't change is the value, I don't think, in my opinion.
So, Jem, if he plays terrible next game,
next 2 games,
almost purposely terrible, that's 2 games in a row. Are they still going to be like, yo, we should keep him? He wants to be or no? If he has a 3rd terrible game, you can't even sell him for 100 mil no more.
Bro, once the window shuts, he'll get back to playing football the way he
he'll get back.
I hope he doesn't. I hope he flipping keeps drinking and celebrating World Cup victories. Slow it down.
Just knock his value down in Chelsea.
Slow it down, bro. I'm just knocking on Casado. Like now, if we go for Casado now, he's gonna be like, "Well, you guys were caught in my man. You moved. You know when you jump goals, it's like, wait, you were talking to her, and now you're trying to come to me. It'll be a
the moment he puts that value down, now everyone is in for him, and I don't even want that now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's see what Forward's got to say. Forward, what's happening, man?
I'm good, bro. First of all, happy New Year to you and to everybody here on the panel and to all Chelsea fans. It's been a tough time, but we'll get through it.
What's your thoughts on the Enzo Fernandez saga today, from what you've seen?
I mean, I want to pick up on a conversation and from where you guys are talking about value, right? And again, for a start, there was a mention that why are the likes of Real Madrid or PSG not going in for Enzo? Again, to us, he's probably worth 120 million given where our midfield is right now. But to PSG, they have a settled midfield, top of the league, just lost their first game of the season just recently. Through the Champions League, they have a settled midfield that they just spent, I believe, 100 million on just last summer with the likes of Soler coming in, Fabian Ruiz, Renato Sanchez. So they just had a midfield reshuffle. So even if even if they rate Enzo highly, they don't need to prioritize that signing now. Same for Real Madrid. They just signed Tchouaméni in the summer. They have Luka Modric, Toni Kroos, Valverde, all these midfielders there. So they don't need to get Enzo now. Now, as for us, we will know that our midfield has been neglected for a long time.
Yeah. Are you still there?
Is he still talking?
Forward.
Maybe Mike.
Come on, you've got a good speech.
Else has just been youth academy players who've been promoted. So he's obviously worth a lot more to us. Now, again, I think I personally agree a lot with what Nomadic said. Like, listen, he's a quality player. And I think with quality players, when you're shopping in the top echelon of the market, you have to be willing to overpay because, again, the likes of Van Dijk, Alisson, they were expensive buys at the time, but they were absolutely worth the money. And I think the reason why we've struggled for Chelsea in terms of when we spent a lot of money on big players, we've not actually catered to their skill sets. We've not actually built the team around them. Like, again, not many
from them as well. That's the other thing, you know.
I mean, bro, not many big clubs will go and spend, let's say, 200, 300 million on an attack force to not build around those players properly. Again, we've wasted so much money on attackers recently, bro. Look at it. Lukaku, again, he flopped for many reasons, including his mentality, some of his limitations technically, but nobody here can sit here and tell me that Tuchel and the team and the club built around his assets properly. They didn't build a team around him in terms of trying to get the best out of him. Yeah, he flopped for many other reasons, but we didn't build around him. Same with Timo Werner. Again, I hope we are all unanimous in saying that he wasn't good enough for Chelsea. But having said that, if you watched his clips at Leipzig, you saw how we were scoring goals, and we didn't even try to play in that way at all. That just didn't happen. So
I mean, he had a lot of chances.
Enzo has a lot of transferable skills to this league. His talents are clear for everybody to see in the World Cup. I was a fan of him even before the World Cup, and I feel like if you build around him, as somebody at 21 years old coming into the Premier League, you can get a lot out of him. Again, look at Paul Pogba at Man United, who I was a big fan of at Juventus. They did not build around him. He was an attacking midfielder at Juventus, and they played him to be the deepest midfielder at United, and they paired him with guys like McTominay and Fred, and they did not get the best out of it at all. So if we go and do that with Enzo, he probably will flop. But for me, if you go and spend 120 million on somebody like this at his age, and you build around him, you're more than likely going to get value for money because he is a top talent.
And along with what you're saying there, Forward, and this is part of the reason why I kind of wouldn't be upset with the whole price tag thing, is that I think he's the profile player that we kind of need in the midfield. I don't think he's the only player we need. I think I think we still need to still add to that midfield. But when you look at what he possesses and what we require, and when I say about creating from the deep line and what and the way he plays the game, I think there's a lot that we can benefit from him. Along that, the fact that he's 21 years old and he still has that investment side to him because of his age, and on top of that, he has room to improve himself. So, like,
before I go, sorry, I'm just gonna pose this question, then I'm gonna get out of the way and let you guys speak. But if we pay 120 million for Enzo, is our midfield complete? First of all, that's the first question. So how much more are we going to spend to complete this midfield? Where do we need to spend?
How much more? Yeah, 200 million.
We're spending like 250. You see, like we're talking about 250 million euro or something like that. Close to
that. A lot of money.
My answer
so
to this real quick.
If this guy does not complete our midfield, I don't understand why you're trying to trigger a release.
So wait a sec. Let me answer this, right? So you spend 120 million Enzo Fernandez. You bring him in, all right? That's fine. Let's just say it happens, all right? Because this thing of Declan Rice, right? And people keep talking about him. He's going to cost 70, 80, 90 million. What people and the fans keep crying on about that we need to have one of the most biggest things we need in the midfield is a midfielder that breaks up the play, right? That can breaks up the play and makes, it has that Obi Mikel vibe about him. Let's just use that for example, right? You can still go and buy a player, and I'm talking about players that are not 78 million for a lot less, 40 odd million in terms of someone like Kone from Borussia Mönchengladbach, who's an option. You can still find a player that breaks down play without having to spend 80 to 100 million on him. You don't have to specifically always have to spend that much money on each position to get the best, is my opinion, especially from
you're setting the precedent, though. We just spent 65 million on Cucurella. We spent however many. Again, yeah, exactly. So this is the run that we're going on. Overpaying. You think
even
100 million for Enzo is going to be like, well, no, I'll just accept 30 million for our midfielder Kone, who's very valuable in our midfield right now.
Yeah, I'll go for Amrabat. I mean, that's who I will go for Amrabat and Enzo. Those two, but
precedence right now is what I'm talking about. There's a precedence that's being set that we're spending overs for everybody.
Overspending, over one.
Well, would you say we spent over for Koulibaly? Did we spend over for Koulibaly?
I think we overspent as well. For his age.
People would say that.
People say
that. And then he left on his contract as well. We did a little bit.
People will say that.
Listen, I get where couch critic is coming from. Like, I understand the sentiment of your question, but I feel like there are times where you just have to make an exception to the rule. And we've made a lot of mistakes in the past. That shouldn't then mean that we can't allow ourselves to overindulge on a player like Enzo, who has, again, for me, and I said this even before the World Cup, all the attributes that I want in a midfielder that can work in the Premier League. And again, you make the point of like how much you need to spend to fix a midfield. Again, I like to pose this question in terms of the attack, because again, we spend a lot of money on the attack, and we can compare ourselves to the likes of Liverpool and Man City, who have spent, for me, quite a lot of money to fix their attacks in the last 4 or 5 years. Again, Liverpool, look how much they spent on the likes of Salah, Mane, now Gakpo, Nunes, Jota, etc., Diaz. It's a lot of money, but they fixed their attack. Whereas us, we spent 300, 400 million on the likes of Lukaku, Werner, pretty much everybody that we've tried to get since. Yeah, everybody's post-Hazard to fix our attack, which we all know needed fixing after Hazard left. And we didn't spend that money properly at all. So you do need to spend big money to fix big portions of your team, but we just have to spend it right. And for me, Enzo is a right deal to make.
I agree, mate. I do agree. Alex, tweet Sam.
Before you go, Alex, I got to bounce, man. But good talks, everyone. I appreciate everyone.
Take care, Couch. See you later,
bro.
We'll talk to you.
Take care, bro. See you later. Take care.
I don't know where's it, like the money wise. It's not up to me to decide what's the value, what's not. What's more interesting to me is Chelsea being embarrassed for the past 2 transfer windows.
Facts. That's what I was saying. We're being embarrassed.
We've been embarrassed for the past 2 transfer windows. That's it.
True.
On the world of football, Chelsea been embarrassed by Barcelona last season, and now by Davo Club. It's not about how you. It's everybody knew who's Marina was. Nobody knows who's actually negotiating the money for Chelsea. Which one?
We've been told
Vivel, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Vivel.
So the problem is how we negotiate, how we put the club as a standard, because from the world, it's not only about this transfer window. If you go for just for this transfer window and you place yourself as it is, don't forget that that's not the only player we're going for. We're going to need to go to the different clubs. We're going to need to go to talk to the different players, different representative, and they talk between each other. We're going to tell each other how to deal with Chelsea and stuff like that. First of all those rumors that we went for low ball everybody, it's kind of like a moot point. Like, I don't think it was a low ball at all. I think it was the problem with, first of all, it was the installments. For me, Chelsea agreed to pay the what's the name, release clause.
Yeah.
But they wanted release clause paid in one installment. Chelsea said, if you want to pay in one installment, that only we can do is whatever that number came out, 75, 85, whoever you trust more.
Yeah.
I think it's the same price. I don't think Chelsea lowball anybody. I think it's.
You think it's the first installment?
I think it's the first installment. No, it depends on installment. Same thing with Fofana. The release clause for Fofana was 85, right? They wanted 85 for Fofana. Did we pay 85? No, because of how much money you put up front. That's the problem.
They got about 30 or 40 million up front, didn't they?
Yeah, that's what. No, they wanted the whole thing for Fofana. So we said, if you want the whole thing, that's how much we're gonna pay, which end up how much we paid for them. The same thing with with Enzo. First of all, it's only 5th of January.
It's a lot of time.
Yeah, it's a lot of time. I think he's the midfielder that we need. He's definitely midfielder that we need. He's not a Jorginho replacement by any count means. He's not a sitter. He's not a single sitter. He can sit, not all the time. He can sit with somebody else who can sit, or you get a proper sitter. When you compare him to Mikel, he's not a Mikel.
No, he's not.
He's not a Mikel. He's not. But for me, him and Rice will go hand to hand if you play double pivot. If you want a single pivot, you need the.
He is versatile to do many things. You know, that's the thing I would say.
If you need the sitter midfielder that all the time the sits, you need to go look for somebody else because he's not all the time.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is with the sitter, you don't specifically have to always spend 100 million for that. Like, there is enough sitters out there across the.
There's no player in the world costs 120 million. There's no human being should be a value.
Well, no, but Declan Rice is going to cost you 70 to 80 million, right? Let's just use him for an example. Yeah, but then you look at someone like Edson Alvarez, who could cost you 40 million. You look at Kone, who's going to cost you 40 million. So there is options out there.
But you also named the players that are actually really, really young.
Well, that's not a problem, though, is it? I mean, if you look at what we're buying anyway, I think we are looking at the new era, which is why we're buying a lot of young players. But
yeah, the new era is it's a thing to say. Like, you gotta have a fundamental in each position of the field: defense, midfield, and forward. So if you pay 120 for the Enzo, which is characteristically he's the type of guy that demands, you can see in his face.
He's
like he's the guy that demands from the other midfielders. He's not the one that gets ordered from the other midfielder. He's the one that actually pushes. So I think if you willing to spend 100 whatever million, I don't think his value. I'm okay with it, but I think he's the caliber that we need. But you don't have to go for Rice for that. Beside that kind of statue, it's like what's his name? The defender we have, that Thiago Silva. The statue of Thiago Silva is so big in that defense that even Chalobah looks good.
Next to him,
no matter who you pay and playing beside him, they look good. So I don't think we need to go for the Rice to spend 70 million. I think we can afford to go to the players, even including players that we already have, that he can play beside, that he can make them play good. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so it doesn't necessarily mean that we need to spend the 70 on the next player.
No,
because he's the character that actually can improve the other players. That's all I'm saying.
And I think with Silva, though, the only thing is he won't be here for long. Even if he stays another season, he'll be pushing 40. You know, you're going to have to play with that.
I just give you an example. I wasn't giving you that.
How many, I know
10 years Thiago Silva.
The other thing I would say with people like Thiago Silva is that I keep saying is that I think they're a dying breed of footballer anyway. In my opinion, I don't think there is many of his caliber. If you talk about out there left, in my opinion,
you're not going to get complete defenders like them.
Yeah, they're just old school.
We're saying that every season and another player comes back and becomes
like once in a decade.
But the truth is, the midfield is.
But that's why you call them world class, not because they play one season and you already call them world class.
You're about the Twitter a lot. Yeah.
The midfield is the one area that we have not paid attention to for how long now? Since 2018, is it?
And that's why I was disagreeing with the forward guy.
Yeah.
You do not, if you build in a team starting with forward line, oh my word!
I don't think Chelsea, any successful Chelsea team's ever done that way. It's always been defense all the way down to the forward line anyway. If you look at it, so
you build the team the way you.
My point wasn't that we were building around the attack. I was just saying that when we spent a lot of money, when we invested a lot of money on the attack, a lot of these players didn't fit the system that we had. We didn't necessarily adapt our system to fit their best attributes, and that's why a lot of them have been busts. And that's just the pure facts.
True. I agree with that.
There's a lot of consistency with the system. Is like, what was the Chelsea system? When I ask you what's Manchester United system, everybody knows how Manchester United played for the decades in general. How Manchester United
this is what I was going to say with Alex.
How did Chelsea play for the past 15 years?
Anybody tell me the different formations?
It's so different because under Sarri we were a possession-based team again, quite different to how Tuchel were slightly possession-based.
That's why I always call Chelsea.
And it's different because we sign managers every 2-3 years, and we don't sign consistent managers in their philosophy. We went from Sarri to Lampard, very different from Lampard to Tuchel, very different.
That's what I'm saying.
Potter, which is the main issue. The main issue
we
is
poor
technical
Real
director
Madrid.
giving us a philosophy in place that okay, a manager can come and go, but the football remains the same.
Exactly.
So you can take an example from Brighton. I'm sorry, with how when we took Potter, they did not immediately run to someone. They took their time, almost 3 weeks to a month, to make sure they find someone that will continue with exactly what Potter was doing. And you can see once that guy got in, Deservi, it's literally as if Potter never left. It's the same continuity, and that's why I feel like the things like, let's give an example, Manchester City, you need to make sure even your academy is playing the same brand of football as your first team, so that when you pick someone from the academy and you need them to fill in for someone in the first team, it's a seamless thing. But for us, we send our players to various types of loans that those loan teams don't even play the same style as Chelsea. Our under whatever 11s, 21s, 18s don't play the same thing. So it's very scattergun. And we're finally paying for having us forward said. We have players from 3-4 different type of managers who play 4 different types of styles. And now we have a bunch of 25-man squad that plays so many different types of things.
Yeah, I hear that as well. I mean, there's just so many underlying things that we need to sort out, and I think we should just use this January window cleverly. I say clever, but smartly to try and bring in and sort out as much. And not just that. When you look at where we are at the moment in the league, we're 10th under Potter. We've got injuries. We're struggling. We are struggling. We've got City tonight. We need something.
Oh, do we?
Like we need to use this window wisely, is what I'd say. AJ, what are you saying?
Yo. No, I'm just listening to everybody's Enzo point, and like I said, everybody is, or like I always say, that everybody, there's a piece of their reasoning that's gonna be true. So I really do think like we should go after Enzo. We should just seal the deal because, we complain day in, day out about the quality in the midfield. For years, we are missing certain profiles. We don't have somebody who's, consistently looking for that through ball, consistently trying to provide an assist, consistently able to score from outside the box, or just is a goal threat in general. So that makes the defense have to worry about that player, which then opens up spaces. When Jorginho receives the ball on top of the box, nobody presses Jorginho. When Kovacic has the ball on top of the box, nobody presses him because he can't make a final pass. He can't score. Loftus-Cheek, he's not a shooter. Kante, he could score, but he's not really that. So we've been missing this type of player for 5-6 years. I'd say since we had Fabregas, and even before that, since we had Lampard. You know, those were the players where they give you more dynamic options where they can score, they can assist, they can defend, they can dictate. So we don't have that player. So I believe that, and especially at the juncture we're at where we might not get Champions League, like that's just the reality. So once the summer comes, now more teams are in for Enzo. He's not going to be looking towards Chelsea. There's better options for him. On top of that, yes, go ahead.
No. What I would say to that is, you say better options, and I think Forward smashed it. I don't think many clubs are going to be able to afford that release clause even in the summer. Anyway, like I said, there'll be an offer to negotiate.
But the competition itself, just the fact that there'll be competition, you know, there's no competition right now. Who was going to get Enzo?
Well, the competition will only be PSG, Man City.
Well, it's going to be exactly. But regardless, they're going to be there. They're not there right now. This is our chance. You know, sometimes you have to hop on opportunities. So I do think, like you said earlier, Jem, they're going to go back in for Enzo. You know, we don't really know what's really going on anyway. You know, all of this Twitter stuff and all of we don't know what's going on. We just know that Enzo might come to Chelsea. Don't listen to these guys that tweet every single day, because they're not getting changing information every day. You know,
well, it's really confirmed that they're inaccurate anyway, aren't they? Really, when you think about it.
Benfica manager was just spoke on the live.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Okay, well,
apparently it's true, man.
Speaking every day.
So part of the issue which Alex alluded to earlier is that, like, a lot of this is so public, and again, most big clubs don't operate like this. When Liverpool sign players, it's swift and it's quick and it's done.
Thank you.
It's long, it's drawn out, and what's more embarrassing to me is that we're trying to hijack deals, which is like, again, if you have a plan in place, you don't need to hijack somebody else's deal. You have players in mind that you're gonna go and target and get, not that. Oh, Mudryk deal's slowing down with Arsenal. You know what? Let's go and get him because he might fit into what we're doing. No, like, if you wanted him from day one, you go and get him.
And on top of that, Forward, you're going to spend 70 odd million for Mudryk, and them funds could have actually, in theory, gone to Enzo, which shows me you're prioritising Mudryk over Enzo when you think about it, because that money that you said you didn't have could have gone to him. Really?
Yeah, 100%. You're trying to put your eggs in too many baskets. Just focus on one thing. For me, the January window, especially for where we are right now, I don't want to see us going over the top in terms of signings. Like, if there's a signing that you want to get in the summer that you can get now, absolutely go and do that, because you saw the effect it had on Liverpool last season. When they knew that they wanted to get Diaz in the summer, they were like, cool, that's going to be our Mane replacement. Mane's most likely going in the summer. And they thought, we don't need to get him in January, until they heard Tottenham were after him as well. They're like, no, Tottenham, sit down there. You're not getting after him. We're the big dogs here. We go and get him. And look how that transformed the season. They went on a literally one of the craziest seasons I've ever seen, literally fighting for the quadruple to the last seconds of both competitions because of the impact that Diaz had on an already great team. So for us, if we can get Enzo, great, because he's somebody that is in the plan for us to go and have for the next 5, 6, 7 years. But I don't want any more stopgaps like an Aubameyang type signing or another loan like a Zakari or Saul. I don't want any more of that kind of nonsense at the club, bro. Like, we need to get players
the thing that I would say
in the long term.
I would say that for Enzo to really bang at Chelsea, we have to be serious about getting a sitting defensive midfielder, somebody who's naturally defensive and can naturally shield our back four, clean up any loose balls, and play the ball forward quickly, just like what Casemiro does, just like what Rodri does, just like what Fabinho does. The blueprint is there in the league. These teams are successful because of this type of player, and we do not have that type of player. Jorginho is not that type of player. Kovacic is not that type of player. Loftus-Cheek is not that type of player. Conte is not really that type of player. He can play next to that player. So we have to just be serious about what is making these teams successful. And there's certain types of players that are in the league that we don't have. And it's just simple.
Do you think this move from Benfica, in a way, could be a PR ploy as well against Chelsea?
What do you mean?
Do you think it could be a PR ploy to try and...
Oh, you mean for Enzo? I mean, I can see that. You know, I can see it, but at the same time, Bowley and Chelsea, they have money. So why would it be they have money. We're a big team.
It's the time.
It doesn't need to be PR.
I think it's the timing of it all. Where's the update on Enzo? People say this. There ain't no update on Enzo.
I mean,
the one thing that I agree with Alex when Alex said something about the reputation, the post-2 transfer window. The thing about Chelsea now is that the news, let's say for Modric, for example, if let's say Modric goes to Arsenal now, people's gonna say, hey, they reject Chelsea. The thing about Enzo Fernandez now, I don't care if it's PR, I don't care if like he's a very good player, but right now, if Boli already put his his foot into Enzo Fernandez, you have to go buy it now for me. Like by the end of January, if I don't see Enzo Fernandez at Chelsea, I'm start thinking, okay, people are saying that Todd Bowley is this, Todd Bowley is that. He wanted to bring Ronaldo, he wanted to bring like star player, whatever. You do it, because if we get Enzo Fernandez, that means one thing, like you are keeping Roman Abramovich's reputation online. So you're playing that reputation online. I like Enzo. I think he's a world-class player. Are we overspending? Yes, but you already put your foot into it. Enzo wants to come to Chelsea. He's doing everything in his way to come to Chelsea. Just put the money and get him. If Enzo was like Rafinha, if Enzo was saying, no, I want to play for Barca, I want to play for Real Madrid, then it's different. But he wants to come to Chelsea, just put the money. That's all I'm going to say. We'll have to wait and see.
And that's why it says that the player's going crazy at the moment with the Chelsea interest.
Look, another thing people forget. Remember when Chelsea fans were fuming with Marina fighting for every million?
Yeah.
You remember that when the people saying like, why wouldn't you just pay? Like if it's a 5 more million, just pay it. It's 10 more million, just pay it. Why not ask? Because it's a common thing when the owners like they really. Do you think they want to spend more than we have to? When I heard that we pay an extra over the buyback clause, I was like, that's laughable. It's like I give you 10 for those kind of $10 for that for that watch that you want to buy, and the guy's like, no, I'll pay you 15.
It's like when you go into a restaurant.
But it's not laughable if it helps you get another player in, and it helps you pay off the loan or the money.
It's laughable when nobody else is in the market for Enzo.
True.
But
no one else
besides Chelsea. In the summer, you'll not be able to get him.
No, in summer, no. In summer, we lose Enzo. Enzo is right now.
What is 10 million to us if we end up securing him for the next 5-6 years and not pay that 10 million and he ends up going to Liverpool or something?
I think you're missing the point. What I was trying to say.
What is the point then?
I was saying that we tried to pay over the release clause because the release clause is the only way Chelsea are gonna get the player.
Yeah.
That's what the Benfica said. Pay the release clause, he's your player. Chelsea said, no, we'll pay extra. That's what the rumor's saying, which I think it's actually laughable. But that
extra helps us not give them the 120 million all at once.
Yeah,
very few clubs in the world give me clubs that pay huge release clauses. People don't do that because you have to give all that money all at once.
I think you misunderstood.
That's the issue, Nomadic, because even if we pay over the release clause, which is what we've been told for so many days up till today, the stance
it still has to be installments.
Yeah,
no matter how you're gonna do the 127 or 120, it's still installments.
Yeah, it is. But at the same time, even if that is the case, we're still not meeting the installment requirement of Benfica because they still want a large amount of the fund anyway, which we're not willing to do. So it's like,
first installment.
What are you doing here? You want to pay over the odds and trigger the release clause or whatever, fine, and stick it on installment plan, but you're still not willing to meet how they want to break down the installment. And that's where we're stuck right now, So it's not to say that we won't sort it out because it's the 5th of fucking January. We could sort it out.
Do you think Chelsea, if Chelsea get Enzo, do you think Benfica would agree with installment, or do you think Benfica would say, no, give me 120, just pay out the biggest clause?
It's all installments.
I think it's going to be agreed more to installments than not installments.
Okay, installments. Yeah,
from what I've seen, it's more about they just want a certain amount up front, and obviously Chelsea are very conscious of FFP, and they don't want to overpay up front and offset what we've done in the year.
Yeah, FFP is about the year to year.
So it's every year, yeah.
And I think
if we pay in a year,
is it from April to April, isn't it? I believe. Which in that case, it includes last summer, which of course was a record-breaking transfer window.
Exactly,
in the country. So we have to be very conscious of that.
Let me ask you this question. If we don't get Enzo Fernandez, what's option B and option C? Give me names and give me names like real.
There's no one like Enzo. Like Jam is right, that type of player. There's no one.
Frankie De Jong. That's a good option.
That's the only option. That's
him
and Frankie De Jong.
Yeah, the first reality is you have to face that it's embarrassment not getting Enzo after all this fuss about it. Like,
true. It's reputation.
No matter who else we get, is first of all, it's an embarrassment. It's a massive L that we didn't get our primary
two
option.
transfer windows in a row.
No. I cannot go for banter.
He said I can't go for
it's long. Like for to not get Frankie De Jong after all that they done trying to get him, that was embarrassment. And they got Casemiro.
That was
embarrassing. The blow a bit because Casemiro again. 5-time champion, great DM.
We actually need that profile of player. That's the worst thing about it. That's what we need. They're looking at the right thing, but not getting it done. That's the problem.
Do you see what Matt Law has said?
De Jong is most likely going to go to Man U, you know.
If that's
so, do you see what Matt Law has just said?
Because he's another.
I'm tired of like, these guys have too
brown envelopes.
No, he's just said right now. My understanding is Chelsea did not offer to pay the release clause in Enzo Fernandez contract, and currently have no intention of doing so, regardless of what Benfica wants or claim. Still a long way to go in the January window.
Yeah, so it's it.
If it's a difference of 10 to 20 million, Chelsea needs to just pay the fucking release clause.
Yeah, just pay, bro.
Like, it doesn't make sense to go to 100 million, but like, oh no, I'm not paying 120 for this guy. Sometimes.
So then you don't pay the release clause, you overpay the release clause, and you stick it on an installment plan, but you give him the bigger
installment plan. Yeah.
That is literally the only other option.
Get it done, bro.
My this is funny. This is even more embarrassing to Chelsea than anything.
Because if they knew the news was floating out there about the 127, why didn't Chelsea come out and try to like counter it? The same way you remember when Brighton were like, everyone was like, oh, Cuckoo is going to. They came out and like they did not look like mugs in the end of the day. Why do they keep making us every transfer window just look like mugs?
Mugs. We do.
It's not their fault about Rafinha.
It's the brown envelope.
I get that it wasn't their fault about Rafinha. Rafinha made it very clear.
Dembele, Rafinha,
Barcelona or something. But then if you know there's this 127 floating around, why don't you counter it?
I don't know. Look,
I'm sure there's counters there.
I don't actually blame Todd Bowley for making these decisions because, in fairness, he's not even like if it was just him, he didn't have Pavel and he didn't have this. And I know Alex reverted back to the summer when we had Rafinha, and I get all that. I agree, it didn't look great, but I kind of understand it a little bit just because of who's trying to negotiate, and you know what I mean, like in terms of like he's never done this before. Do you know what I mean? It's like he's going into something, you know, and not really understanding.
It doesn't mean that you have to do it.
No, but he's still trying to do something, is what I'm saying. But he's just obviously not.
Well,
he's not like negotiator.
That's my whole problem with Chelsea fan base, with Potter. Look, I'm not Potter out, but I think people they're telling me that this regime is different. I don't see no difference. We still make the same shit mistakes that Ava did.
Well,
the specific one way.
It's early days, though. I feel like you have to give accountability. For me,
can I finish my sentence so you can understand what I'm trying to say?
Sure, go ahead, bro.
So if it's a problem, if it's the proper way you wanted to do it, like everybody keeps saying, like Manchester City and all that. First signing Todd Bowley should have done last summer is hire director of football, and then with director of football you should manage the new manager, the ones that they talk to, not before, after. Everything what Todd Bowley did after he hired, after the transfer window, it's fine by me. I'm saying before that he should have hired a football director. The first signing should have been football director.
Yeah, he was, because the thing about Todd Bowley was like Tuchel. But because the way that Tuchel plays is a bit similar to what Potter, like playing players in different positions. I know that Tuchel fell out with the owner. I don't know why. What Todd Bowley should have done is like bring the players that, you know, in the system, like whatever. Then when Chelsea start to be like, let's say Tuchel finish like 7th, 8th, whatever. Then the players in, like, you know, you have your Enzo, whatever. They have the time. Then you bring in your Graham Potter. Because the thing now, Potter came to a mess. Chelsea's a mess, so Potter have to fix the mess. So I feel bad for Potter, but I do know that
he was trying to fix
the
the
mess
before he got sacked.
Look.
You know what I mean? So,
he was trying to fix the mess. Yeah, he was trying to fix it actually.
you know, and he
But
didn't get given time.
it shouldn't be on the manager to fix the mess in the first place.
No, but when I say mess, I mean in terms of him being given the time to create whatever it is that he wants, implements his styles, bringing players that he wants, have the time to do what he wants to do.
That's why I'm
We don't
saying
give
he
any
has
manager
no
that time.
balls. He has no balls. For me, the only thing I will say, Potter doesn't have no balls.
Yeah,
because
he has
he
no-
no matter what he does, I don't know how he wants to play. If
Yeah.
you
Oh, no,
know
yeah.
the players that does not want to play for you, because I can
Get
point
out.
them with my finger on a team that
Yeah,
does
true.
not look like they want to play for you or
For
play
Potter,
for
yeah.
this club.
Mhm.
Why are they still there? Why
Yeah,
Ziyech? Why Pulisic is still there?
Yeah.
I'm okay with
that was
Pulisic.
before Potter.
I
That was
know
happening
for a
before
fact.
Potter.
I know for a fact that Ziyech does not want to be at the club. So
Yeah,
why
he's
is
not
why is he occupying the bench? Get me Hutchinson and put him
Yeah.
over there.
Young players.
Start
Yeah.
play. If we not get in top 4, I'm okay with us being 15 as long as we're not relegated. I don't care. It's either 4 or none.
Yeah, true.
For now.
Yeah,
All right.
You see what I'm
So,
saying? So play
yeah.
Hutchinson in that position, or come as a sub. Let him come as a sub. Play the other kid as a sub. Let them be. By the end of this window, we're gonna be 15. But at least those youngsters gonna have 6 months of experience in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
And it's it.
Hutchinson looks like he's cooking anyway.
Why
He looks
Ziyech
like
is there? I know
he
Ziyech
looks
is a
more
good
active
World
than
Cup.
these starters.
It doesn't change the fact that he wants out of Chelsea.
Yeah, he should be playing players that don't want to be here. I agree with that. No manager should, in my
Same
opinion.
thing.
But look, I get it. I agree with it as well. I just want to see Potter do and play the system that he wants to play.
He
And
wants
if the
to play,
players
yeah.
can't carry it
There's a
out,
ball
if they
to do.
can't carry it out, you just dump it on the players. Well, I'm trying to get them to play how I want it. They just can't do it. They ain't able. They're not capable. They're just not good enough in certain. We're not good enough in certain positions. We need to strengthen here, here, and here. I've just, and just go for it. That's what you should do, rather than try and play to a certain way to try and get the best of what he already has, and then it doesn't work because the other side of it, the other part of the team can't play like that. And that's what we end up doing all the time. All we have done, and even under Tuchel as well. But David says ownership is willing to lie about Enzo. Don't be surprised if results continue with Potter and he gets sacked. Is his comment?
Can get
Thank you
sacked.
for the donation there, brother. We've got over 600 people here still. Big up to every single one of you that are all still in here, as always.
I bring so many
Appreciate it.
customers on this channel.
But I do need to shoot. Cyprus, should I say anything before we go as well? You've just been sitting there staring at it.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to interrupt anything this time
God,
because I saw, guys, that you were really on the hype of it and you really wanted to discuss anyways. As all we know, today we just announced the signing of Benoit Badiashile from AS Monaco. We hope he brings something in the defense and hope he's good and consistent. Let's hope so. I don't know what to expect. I haven't seen him playing for AS Monaco. The other thing is I hope we get some deals done in January that can help the team challenge for top 4 right now, because we see all this saga going on with Enzo Fernandez and we hope it can get done at some point. And I hope tonight against Man City we can see a Chelsea team different from the one that we saw against Nottingham Forest, who will bring more positive vibes.
So what's your score predictions, actually? I forgot to ask quickly. Go on, what's your score prediction?
Look, if we play like we played, I reckon it's going to finish with a 1-0 win to Man City, but I hope for a draw because I'm not very optimistic we can win this game the way we play.
Okay, fair enough. Nomadic, who are we going for? What are we going for? Score?
A draw.
A draw? Okay, fair enough. Denisham?
I'm going to go 3-1 City. I think Potter's going to play the same player, Koulibaly, Sterling, and stuff like that. I just feel like City right now, they want to compete versus Arsenal. And I just feel like if Koulibaly plays today with Aspi, Haaland is going to destroy us, man.
3-1. All right, fair enough.
Could be 3-1 City, yeah. Could be.
Forward?
Yeah, I'm going to say 2-0 City, and that's me being generous. Listen, we have to give Potter time. It's not easy managing these players, as we know. I'm hoping to see us continue to be a 4-3-3 team or 4-2-3-1, depends how you see it. Although maybe for today, and again there are exceptions like today where you can accept being maybe a back 3/back 5 team, and yeah, it is what it is. But it's just difficult to see where we get goals from in this team right now. Like against Forest, who are one of the worst teams in the league, what did we really create outside of that fluke clearance that landed off the bar and Sterling poached? We're not creating much, so it's difficult, but we just got to give quite time to try and make things work. But we don't have creators generally, and I don't think we're going to solve that in the market. But it is what it is. But yeah, 2-0 City. I don't want us to finish top 4. I don't want us to finish in the European places. Top 4, if we can get it, great. But I've already considered that's very unlikely. So if we finish 9th, 10th, that's cool with me.
Alex, you're going to say something crazy. I know you are.
Yep, Chelsea getting better everywhere we go. I think it's going to be 6-0. City.
Okay.
City. Jorginho scored 3 own goals.
AJ?
I'm going to say it's going to be 3-0 City. Yeah, that's really all I got, bro.
All right, I'm going to go with the only score that goes for Chelsea, and I'm going 3-0 Chelsea. I'm going to go with Havertz, Pulisic, and a header from Thiago Silva.
It's announced.
3-0. Up the Chelsea. We're going to win tonight. Let's go.
I tell you what, if we win, I'm going to pop up. I'm going to pop up on the show like a fucking maniac, shouting Chelsea all the time.
Well, I'll be back tomorrow anyway. Our show tomorrow starts at 2:00, so we're doing the match reaction. We'll also probably get some more news in around Enzo Fernandez as well. So, this I'll be back tomorrow for then, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. 600 of you here. Smash the likes, leave a comment. Thank you to all the guys that are here as well. And we'll be back again very soon. Peace out, guys.
See you guys.
Peace.